Welcome to the GameChanger 00100 show. I'm your host, GameChanger. So, watching Media Man right now, and apparently, I'm blocked over there. And it's because of, I did a couple of videos on his where I disagreed with him a lot. And looking back at it and kind of like feeding off of your comments, he's a very disliked person here. It makes sense why he did it because there were times in his videos where he said things that were just completely egregious, and I responded harshly. Now, I didn't know that he watched my channel, and I didn't know that he watched those videos, but now I know. And he blocked me not only in the chat room, but when I tried to go into his live show, he wouldn't allow me in there either. So, is what it is, you roll with the punches and you move on. I'm sad to see that I didn't come to this community to make enemies. However, I'm very strong on my stance in certain things and vocal when I disagree. And that is going to cause enemies in a realm where subject matter is the bond. So, is what it is. Anyway, watching Media Man, and they're talking about a woman's degrees, and he's given a counterpoint to why he believes that it does matter, why the degrees do matter. Now, people like Kevin Samuels and others, it's like degrees don't matter. He's saying, no, it actually does. And he gives statistics. I don't know how accurate they are about saying things like the longevity of the relationship is dependent on her degree. And I'm like, okay. I don't know if that's correlation or causation or, what's behind that, but that may or may not be true. I honestly don't know. Even if it is true, there could be a number of factors that go along with that. One being that if she took time to have her degree, then she married later in life, meaning that it's more likely that the relationship lasted for that reason. I mean, there's a number of things like that it could be, other than women with degrees are more, have greater longevity in relationships. Also, now that I think about it, and as I'm saying this, I'm wondering if what was said pertains to Black women or just women in general. I didn't even think about that one. Because if that's true for women in general, then that means that when an Asian man marries an educated Asian woman, his outcome is going to be significantly different than when a Black man marries an educated Black woman. And this is why I titled the stream what I did. In case I change it in the future, the title of the stream, actually I did change it. So let me, the title of the stream is, ever notice how other groups of women don't use their degrees as a relationship selling point? And that's because what I noticed is that white women, Asian women, maybe not Latin women, because they, well, okay, I'll say even Latin women, but they're kind of like in a category of their own. Let me stick with white and Asian at first. You don't really hear about their degrees at all, ever. I used to work with this guy who went to Yale, and he used to have a flag on his cubicle that it was a white dude that, he had like the Yale flag on his cubicle, and it was very apparent that this dude went to Yale. It was very apparent. And there was also a woman there, a white woman, and it just casually came up like in a conversation. We was talking about I forget what we were talking about. It was just some movie that, that's what it was. It was that Angelina Jolie movie with I think it was Matt Damon, and they were talking about like Skull and Bones or something like that, or the CIA. And Yale came up in that conversation, and she brought up that she went there too. And she was talking about the prevalence of that, of secret societies on the campus. But it came up in conversation. Black women, it does not take long. This is after like months, maybe even over a year of knowing her. With Black women, it does not take long for you to find out exactly her education. You will find that out in minutes, not months, in seconds, not years. You will find that out immediately. So, and they use it on the dating market where no other group of women do. I date all kind of women. None of them, other than Black women, bring up their education immediately. They bring up their education well before I bring up mine. In fact, I don't even bring it up. Like in the dating process, I rarely, if ever, bring it up. Like it would have to be on, like, hey, such and such? Like, oh yeah, I went to school with him. It's something like that. And she's like, oh, that's my brother. Like it would have to be something like that for me to bring it up. They bring it up instantly. So we have to explore why that is. And in my exploration, hit the like button. And by exploration, it's just me thinking about it. I've come to a very dark conclusion on why that is. And it all goes into how Black women market themselves to everyone, not just Black men, but to all other groups of men. And that is, they downplay what you offer. They put a low premium on what you offer and a high premium on what you don't offer. And they put a low premium on what they don't offer and put a high premium on what they do offer. I'm going to break this down. Years ago, there was this guy, I think his name is something CJ or PJ or something like that. And he made a post saying that I am the prize, because he just graduated law school. He was in his 20s. He was a 6-foot, six-pack guy. And basically what he's saying is I offer women everything that they ask for when they put a list of what they want in a man. I check off all the boxes of a list that you created. Now, the pushback that he received from primarily Black women was still, you ain't all that. And then what about this? And then that's when things like swag or something comes into play. So that would be an example of downplaying what he do offer. Education, I guess height and physical fitness. Downplaying what he does offer and upplaying what he don't offer. And I guess that's swag, which is something that they could just say you do or don't have. Yeah, but what about swag, charisma, blah, 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 blah. They do the same thing to dudes like Michael B. Jordan. That's just their strategy. And that's how you get something for a lower price. It's a negotiation tactic. Like if I were to buy a car and the dealer, he's going to list all of the things that the car has, and I'm going to say, oh yeah, but it don't do 220 on the highway, because he's trying to bring the price down. That's what they're doing. They're trying to get you to bring your price down to their level. At the same time, they realize that they are a commodity too. They're a commodity as well. Hit the like button. So what they're going to try to do is upsell their qualities and downplay their negative qualities. For example, fat. Oh, that's just a little diabetes. That ain't nothing to worry about. It's more cushion for the pushing. Oh, you want one of those skinny Tweety birds, huh? So that's them downplaying their negatives. The fake hair, they'll downplay that, saying, "Oh, well, white women do it too," or they find all kind of ways to downplay. It's a protective style. We've heard it all before. They're downplaying the negatives, and then just the obnoxious attitudes, like they downplay that too. So, really, what their only deemable quality is that they have a degree, which is something that many groups of women have, and quite frankly, larger numbers and concentration in theirs, and more productive in their degrees. That's why they make more money with less debt. So, but they try to upplay it. Like this is their selling point because it's really all that they got. It's all that they got. And this has to be the most important thing in the universe to you. And trust me when I say, when men say that it's worthless, it's not that it's actually worthless. I mean, it is somewhat of a selling point, but it's not the premium that Black women put it. It's not. It's not the end all be all to relationships. It's not the defining line between good and bad in a woman. Hit the like button. It's not. And I know that they wish that they were, that a woman could just get a degree and you ignore the additional 80 pounds that she weighs, that you ignore the fact that she has a wig on and she hasn't washed her hair, since Black History Month. Like they would like, it would be nice if a degree just washed away all sins. But it doesn't. So the way it's marketed to us, women come in well underqualified. And then they say, "Yeah, I got my education. I got my education." And you're like, that doesn't matter. It's not that it doesn't matter. It's just that I'm not going to overlook all the other stuff. Okay. Take this analogy, right? A balcony. A balcony in a hotel. Now, a balcony in a hotel is a nice to have. You're online, you're at hotels.com, and you see some hotels, and you see one with a balcony versus one without a balcony. And yeah, you'll pick the one with a balcony. The hotel without a balcony costs $150 a night, and the hotel with a balcony costs $15,000. Then you're like, whoa! It's like, y'all really put a premium on balconies, don't you? That's what they're doing. They're putting a over premium on it. It's like, listen, I'll spend an extra 25, maybe $50 a night. But what y'all are doing, what y'all are asking for is completely ridiculous in exchange for that. Completely ridiculous. Now, if I wanted to be true to form in this analogy, the hotel with the balcony would have, like a bunch of rats and roaches and electrical problems and no Wi-Fi, and the pool just takes toilet water from each and every single room in the hotel and pumps it into the pool and tell you to swim in it. It would be like the crappiest hotel in the world with a balcony, because that's what they're trying to sell. They're trying to sell reputedly the collectively worst quality of women in the world, but it has a degree. So yeah, that's what was going on in this conversation. Let me read some of your comments. Let's see. Oh, it's not that many. Well, I'm on an off time, so makes sense that it's not. These guys are saying, "Yo, what's up?" I love when women with 54,000 in debt because she got an education. Yeah, yeah. They want it to be a class separator, so they're willing to pay extra. I mean, what they want to do is they want you to absorb the cost. When they're going to school, they're not going to school, to get a better job. They're going to school to get a better man. I told the story before. I dated a chick, and by dated, I mean like only once or twice and didn't go anywhere. But I dated this chick. She was going to massage therapy school, and she told me like her dreams was to be a what was it a physical therapist for athletes. So, work with some A's, some Raiders, some Warriors, maybe a Giants or 49ers or something like that. But she basically wanted to, and she was very attractive. She basically wanted to get into that social circle. And maybe she did. Who knows? Get into that social circle and, rub her way into a successful athlete. The term is called transference. It's a real thing. People become attracted to people in that. I mean, she wasn't doing it because she knew this. This is something I found out later. But so this is why I say it might have worked for her. Well, the point is that women get degrees based on, they get their education just to get into proximity of the man that they want to do. The education isn't the end game. The end game is the man. The problem with black women is that they don't do crap else. Like, the education may get you into the proximity of the guy that you're looking for. But if you come in with sub quality, with low quality, then it really don't matter. For example, you see all of these daytime TV show quote unquote colleges, and I don't know if they call them colleges, but what do you call those, like, career centers where they say, you could be a medical technician and stuff like that, or you can be a legal secretary. What do you call those places? Maybe it is college. I think we have one here called Western College or something like that. So they go to these places. Now, the jobs that they go for pay about $15 an hour, which is actually in California less than what you would make working fast food, because fast food, they set a minimum at $20. So those jobs actually pay less than what you would make at fast food, plus you accrue student loan debt in doing this. And this is just so you can be the person that squeezes that little air machine to take a blood pressure. They do this not because they're so eager to make that $15 an hour, or they weren't making it before that. They're doing it to get into proximity of the men that they want. They feel that if they work close to the doctors long enough, then they'll get that doctor. And once again, it could work as long as everything else is on point. As long as everything else is on point, that will and can work. A doctor is not above, seeing a phlebotomist, or, what's those called? What's the baby x-ray people? An ultrasound technician. They're not above seeing an attractive woman, working in the medical field, especially knowing that she's there for you and shooting their shot. They're not above that. The problem is that with black women in particular, they're doing nothing else. They just like, oh, I'm a nurse. I'm a nurse. You see, I'm a nurse. It's like, yeah, you're a fat nurse. You're a nurse that's nursing. You're lactating right now because you got 3 kids. I mean, what is what do you do? It's like, yes, sometimes your degree will get you to the market, but it's up to you to actually have a worthy product. All right, so we're going to cover some media, man. I'm going to just go to where you had the open panel because this is where he wouldn't let me on. So I'll say what I would have said on here. All right. This looks like a good place to start.
but not really. It's I think we tend to focus more on ourselves and like.
See if I could go back some. In fact, I want to get the guy before him. Here he goes. Yeah.
It's okay. Everything good. All right. No nakedness back there, brother. You fully clothed? I reached out to me. Another content creator is like, hey man, when you have people come up, you got to make sure they're trying to, I guess whatever, blow up the chat or bug the chat or whatever. But yeah. So what up, brother? How you? But yeah. So what up, brother? How you?
Oh, pretty good. But how you been?
Oh, I'm doing well, man. Good to see you again. All
Yes, sir.
right.
Yes, sir.
Where you come from again?
Houston,
Oh,
right? So yes, I don't necessarily agree with that. Women's degrees matter when in
mhm.
regards to men once they reach I
Okay.
don't.
Okay. Here's the thing. He's saying that when you reach a certain status, you don't need their money, and okay. The problem with women with degrees is that they don't want the men that need the woman with the degree. I'm going to repeat that. They don't want the men that need the women with the degree. So the women that flex their degrees or try to use it as a mating tool, they're using it on the wrong group of men, the men who are less likely to care. Like, you're a nurse trying to seduce a doctor. You think that he's really seduced by your nursing degree when he's a doctor? Now, this might really be enticing to men who work at the hospital, the guys that change the P tube or whatever you call that, the catheters and stuff, which that would not be my favorite job in the world, to be honest. So yeah, it might impress that person, but the ones that you want to impress aren't impressed. So he's bringing up a good point.
I don't. I don't the social media has just taken a narrative way too far.
Is that fair?
Well, oh, well, I would say, uh,
Because
Income for Black woman with a degree. All right, it's Googling. Hit the like button while Google Googles. Black woman with a bachelor's degree working full-time Europe. No, that's not what I'm asking, but I'll take it. It's approximately 57,000 a year. Okay. Let's see. Okay, now I'm going to do without a degree. Oh, 31. Wait, without a degree, having a medium annual income of a. These are two different things. Okay, so the first one guarantees. Like, I looked up two statistics. One of them says Black women without a college degree having a median annual income of approximately $31,000 to $38,000. Now that is a huge gap, but the thing is that those with only some college degree are okay. Let's see. Oh, maybe this will get better. Nope. Okay, so the first statistic, what it did was it put in a bunch of qualifiers, like working full time, 40 hours a week, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This one doesn't do that. So what's happening is on this statistic here, the $38,000 one, what they're saying is we're going to include all of the zeros here, meaning the women on welfare. We're going to bring that down. We're not going to say women without degrees working full time to see how much they make. We're going to just say women without degrees, period. And we're going to compare that to women with degrees not working full time. That's what they just did. So this statistic is kind of bunk. Let me see if I can find a better one. Okay, no, I can't. So here, let me just play some more of this.
a degree.
oh, correct. Because, well, I'm down here in Houston, and of course, I've been married for almost 29, turning 30.
Okay.
So I've had at least a good decade on these Houston streets, and Houston just went viral for the rodeo.
I was like, oh.
Correct. Correct.
That's
So,
funny.
for me, I've Well, I do well for myself, so I've never.
That's interesting. Meaning that the woman that he's divorcing, unfortunately, is possibly high earning, just not higher than him. That's what he's saying.
More woman. I'm sorry. The more money a woman made, the more, let's just say, she didn't.
I haven't noticed that correlation, but he is from a different place and time than me. The entire culture is, I know, the women are uncooperative. To put it bluntly, the women are uncooperative throughout the entire Black diaspora. They're conditioned to be this way, and they're actually told by some mammy that we like it.
Let's break this down real quick. So you've been married, so I'm assuming you pay all the bills and stuff like that.
Oh, absolutely.
Play, but
A distinction there. You said men who reach a certain level, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So the majority of men don't or won't reach that level, right?
Oh, I understand.
Okay.
Now that I understand.
Yeah.
Yes, the average
So when
Minnesota
that is
making.
important for people to understand. So I hear a lot of guys, they speak from that place.
These are the men that are saying that. It's the higher earning men who are saying that. And the reason why they're the ones saying it is because they're the only ones that the women are asking if it matters. I mean, if you ask a dude that's low earning and, with low prospects of ever being high earning, he's going to have a completely different answer. But they never ask that dude. Why? Because they're not trying to market themselves to that dude. When Black women tell you about their education, they're marketing themselves. Like if a white woman talks about her gag reflex, she's marketing herself. Or lack thereof. She's marketing herself. When she tells you a story about something freaky that she did in college, she's marketing herself to you. In fact, that's the only time they bring up college is when they, tell a story about what they did in it as a selling point. It's like, ooh. The reason why you don't really hear from the guys who are not so high earning, who are average earners, the reason why you don't really hear them saying stuff like her degree don't matter is because no one ever asked them. When they were on the Kevin Samuels show asking, high value man, high value man, high value man, they didn't ask what a low value man wanted. They didn't. Take average at best. She's like, I'm high earning. Her selling point was her dog grooming business. She's a businesswoman, and I guess that would matter to a dude who is behind on his rent. However, that's not much of a selling point to the men that she was asking for, which was a man that made as much as Kevin Samuels appeared to made and more. So that's who the question is posed to. Now you can say, yeah, but there's homeless guys that'll be happy about a woman's education. I mean, there's immigrants that would be, there's people looking for a green card that would be happy about that. But, for the majority of high earning men, it's really not a selling point, especially since if he's using himself as a measuring stick. If I were to use myself as a measuring stick, a woman's bachelor's in sociology or something like that, it's really not that impressive. It's not. All right, let's see. It's just not letting me click it, so.
Money. So why should I care about a woman's education or her income? And there's
Correct.
a couple things that go into that as well. However, when we're having these conversations and we're talking to the
Okay, I'm back. So once again, he's trying to sell man on this concept, like, oh yeah, but the marriage just lasts longer and blah 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 blah. Listen, the truth of the matter is that you're selling the one item. You're selling the one item. We're talking about the entire package. Okay, I'll put it like this. If all a woman has is her education, then she already lost. I'm going to repeat that. If all a woman has is her education, then she already lost. Say if somebody was to say, hey, GC, I know this chick, woo, 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 woo. If that woo, woo, woo is her education, I know that she looks like Leslie Jones, which is a no-go. I know that she has no other deemable quality. If someone was to say, "Hey, GC, let me tell you about my sister. She went to Berkeley." It's like, oh crap. Oh crap. It is what it is. So when he's saying, the educated, it's like, okay, so we should marry a woman based solely on that criteria? Okay, I'm gonna look that up. I'm gonna look that up. Let me see. Obsidian says something like that too. I've been looking into it, and Obsidian been giving like a lot of bad stats too. Divorce rate in relationships when the man is educated and the woman is not. All right. Okay. Generally faces lower lower risk of divorce. Wait a minute. Am I reading this right? Marriages where the husband is more educated than the wife generally face lower risk of divorce compared to those where the wife is more. Holy crap. Okay, so this is saying the exact opposite of what Media Man is saying. Oh crap, I wasn't even playing it. Okay. But let me just share this interesting tidbit with you all. Okay, marriages where the husband is more educated than the wife generally face a lower risk of divorce compared to those where the wife is more educated than the husband. I think that is the exact opposite of what Media Man was just saying. Higher education levels in their spouse are associated with lower overall divorce rate, although the highest stability is often found in partnerships with similar education and backgrounds. Okay, meaning that if they both don't have any education, that would be similar. Let's see, key insight, divorce rate, and educational differences. Let's see. Higher education is a strong predictor of lower divorce rate. Higher education, with college educated women having about an 80% chance of their marriage lasting at least 20 years. Okay. Okay, so there's some truth in that. While traditional models suggest that it was the most stable model, it is no longer the only stable model. Husband educated, wife not. Okay. Higher education strong divorce rate with college educated women having. Okay. I wonder what the rate is for the men though. Let's see. Wife more educated. A study from the American Social found that, in contrast to earlier pre 1980s trend, marriages where the wife has more education than her husband's are no longer at high risk, are no longer at a high risk of divorce. Okay. Okay. Yeah, someone says interesting. I agree. All right. So what he's saying is partially true. All right. Once again, I want to point out that this is not black. Black women are on some a whole different ish when it comes to education. All right. Basically, are you comfortable with me being superior to you and in control of the relationship? Well, I mean, once again, they're still seeking. I don't think that education is a determinant of superiority or not. Um, I know that a lot of black women do to a fault, but yeah, that's just part of them being them. Let's see. And I always come back to being better for below average women. Let's see. He knows his product. Black women are shit. Well, once again, you know, the, it's marketing. It's marketing. They're trying to market the only thing that they collectively have in abundance. And they really aren't outshining Asian women like that or outshining white women like that. And even if they were, it still wouldn't be that important. I mean, that's what you do when you lose in every category. It's like a kid that has straight D's on his report card and then report to his parents like, "See, I got an A in gym." I mean, you're selling something, and then if your dad says, well, gym's not that important, and then you just come out with all the stats and statistics of, well, people who do well in gym live longer, stuff like that. That's what they're doing. All right, Big Thug says, well, Asian women outnumber most, and a Chinese woman told me that they have to be with a man that is more educated than them. Okay. I don't know the relevance here, but I've never really. Well, actually, I had a professor that was from Chinese. She's from China. She had a really thick accent, and I don't know what her husband's education level was. He it's not there is no higher than hers. There is no higher than a PhD in computer science. So I'm, but he picked her up from work every day. Like she never drove. I don't even think she knew how. So I will say she's at least submissive to her husband. Black women actually are attracted to superior men. They just don't want the men to know it. This is true. This is true. Wow, you just spit some gems with that one. You just spit some gems with that one. If black women could keep a black man's worth from that black man, then they have won. They have won. Oh, and we're going to talk about this in tomorrow's show. We're definitely stay tuned. Stay tuned because we're going to cover a black, not tomorrow's show, but in Friday's show. We're going to cover a black man whose worth was withheld from him, and it ended up costing him thousands of dollars because he fell for online catfish for companionship. The Nigerian prince style or princess style. So we're definitely going to cover that. And yes, black men are not supposed to know his worth. And I got to talk on that a little bit right now because that is the best kept secret. I didn't know what they meant. Years ago, I seen the movie Amistad, and I didn't know they were talking about the letter that the Queen of Spain was writing to the Americas, and they was like, the blacks must never go free, because then they'll learn the secret of their worth. And I'm thinking, like, what does she mean by that? Like, our worth is they know the secret because they were on the auction block when they were sold. So they know, but there's a difference between cost and worth. If Africans knew the worth, they wouldn't have sold us, at least not so cheaply. And if black men knew our worth, we would not be selling ourselves so cheaply. We wouldn't. Black women have discount D in the black community. They can offer very little and make high demands. Now, their ability to do that has waned significantly since the invention of the internet, and guys are starting to see the other side of the world. Oh, y'all don't understand what I'm talking about, do you? Y'all don't understand what I'm talking about. Y'all need pictures. Okay, we're going to go there. We are going to go there. All right. This is from the show The Simpsons. This is Dr. Hibbert and his wife. Over the years, it seems like they have developed into a dysfunctional relationship, an unhappy marriage. But that's neither here nor there. Dr. Hibbert is a bod type guy with a slim-waisted wife. He is a doctor. Now, Homer Simpson is written to be a blithering idiot. A blithering idiot who has a greater dad bod, no hair whatsoever, and once again, a complete and total blithering idiot. And yet he has a slim-waisted cooperative wife. You see the comparison? You see what's going on? Black men have always taken an inferior deal. You still don't believe me, do you? Okay, let's see. Y'all gonna understand what I'm talking about because art imitates reality and vice versa. This is Cleveland Brown. He once had his own show, but now he is a side character he's back to where he came from, and that is as a side character on the show Family Guy. He is a dad bod guy with a woman who is, though she's reasonably in shape, she still has worse shape than his white counterparts. For example, Lois Griffin. Lois Griffin is significantly more pretty than he is handsome. And to get a contrast of, oh, and by the way, Cleveland is much smarter. Yes, this is Cleveland Brown. This is Peter Griffin. Who has the hotter wife? Who has the better wife? Who has the more desirable wife? Now, contrastly, who is the more desirable person? Cleveland or Peter? Y'all see where this is going? I forgot to mention, speaking of quality of marriages that black men tend to find themselves in versus white men. This is his second wife. This is her daughter, and this is her son, not by him. Of all the families in Family Guy, he is the only stepdad. One guy is in a wheelchair and has no penis, according to a couple episodes. Yet his wife is significantly hotter. And without children. Are we learning? We always take crap deals. But y'all think like, oh no, that's just cartoons. That's just cartoons. That doesn't happen in live motion TV shows. Well, yes, it does, and it has been happening for a while. on black television shows at that. Oh, y'all don't believe me, do you? Y'all don't believe me. Okay. Well, let's see here. All right. You have George. Oh, by the way, George is rich. And this is his wife, Louise. You have this guy here whose name escaped me. And this is his wife. Are we learning? Are we learning? We have always been seen to take the inferior deal because we don't know her worth. Or excuse me, we don't know her worth, but we also don't know our worth. Now, in the case of the Jeffersons, they married years ago off cameras, and maybe she was a PYT. And maybe that's true for Good Times. But y'all get where I'm going with this. Hit the like button. Anyway, let me read some more of the comments. Let's see. Aren't too many hot chicks in STEM of any race. Well, there aren't too many women in STEM at all. Let's start there. They do teeter around average, but this is college girl average. So this is me remembering my college days. So were they hot? Not necessarily by college girl standards. Were they hot by general adult standards? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Was it a lot of ugly chicks in STEM? And I think that's what you're getting at. The answer to that is no. I think it's very different for black men to know their value. It's very difficult for black men to know their value unless they leave the country because the culture is so mired in the concept of black male inferiority. Absolutely. Absolutely. But it's okay. A black man could learn his value simply by leaving the community. And that's why black women are so uptight, or they just shrivel at the thought of a black man dating a white woman. Why? Because he discovered his worth at that point. Like once they don't want him to, like once that happens, the secret is out. But his worth has been kept from him from birth. From birth, black men have been, their worth has been hidden from them. Oh, and by the way, if they feel that you are about to find out your worth, meaning that you're on the way to Harvard, that's when Keisha winds up pregnant. Ricky! Remember Ricky? He was like on track to the NFL or something before, sawed off shotgun, before that scene. And then, you walk into the house and you see that well-preserved, she's still a good woman with the eyelids. And who that is? That's just my baby mama. Oh, yeah. Yeah. They got a plan for you if you have potential. Trust me, because notice that whatchamacallit, Doughboy, he wasn't popping out any. Somebody said, unlike Peter Griffin, who's brilliant. Yeah, exactly. Somebody said, whoa, I'm just now realizing this. White men look at our relationships and laugh. White men look at our relationships like, wait a minute, if I had your income, abs, in penis size, I would be with such and such. And they wonder why they're not. Because if Peter Griffin could pull Lois, imagine if Peter Griffin actually had an IQ. I'll go back further, GC. Fred Flintstone and Barney Rubble with their exactly. Are we learning? You see, they never show, even in shows like Roseanne, they never show like a well-to-do, intelligent Don Draper type white dude with a heifer. They never do that because it doesn't make sense. By the way, Don Draper is the lead character played by John Hamm on Mad Men. But really, Mad Men was a show about well-to-do white guys in the advertising business in the 60s. Not one of those dudes was like with some overweight Roseanne-looking chick. It wouldn't make sense. People would be scratching their head on that. But if that was a black man and he was going home to Louise Jefferson every day and he was bringing Louise Jefferson to the office party, it would make complete and total sense. That we stand out like a sore thumb at Christmas parties when we do stuff like that. Wilma and Betty will have their rebellious moments, but they usually knew where the line was drawn. Yeah, absolutely. George Jetson, he pressed a button all day. And yeah. George Jefferson had a robot maid. Is that George Jefferson or George Jetson? Robot maid and a hottie. Yeah, exactly. Okay, yeah. Because I thought you were talking about his maid. I thought you were talking about George Jefferson maid. I'm like, Florida was disrespectful. That's another example. If black men knew their worth, if George Jefferson knew his worth, he would have been like, bitch, you're fired. Even Peggy Bundy was more pretty than Al was handsome. Yes, exactly. You got white dudes with pretty wives that they don't eat, that they got tired of smashing years ago. 2 kids ago. Like, it's funny because the whole concept of Married with Children was to show like how miserable marriage is, how it's a trap, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And his situation is still superior to the average black man's marriage because the average black man has to come home to the Peggy Bundy mentality and she's fat. In real life, Sherman Hemsley was actually younger than Isabel Sanford. I believe you. Same for Esther Rose and John Amos. He was younger. Well, yeah. Okay. So the whole thing with Esther Rose and John Amos was that it's a spinoff from a show called Maude. I mean, The Jeffersons is a spinoff too from Archie Bunker. But the reason why she was casted the way she was, and they didn't have like a more attractive woman like Winona or something as his wife, was because she started off as the stereotypical mammy style maid. That was her role on the show Maude. She was a maid, and then they decided, okay, we're going to make a separate show that shows her home life. And then, that's where James Evans came in, and whose name was Henry Evans. And, it went from there. The show, and that's how we got the show that we liked. But so it's not that was done by design, because the show started with the female lead that was a mammy stereotype, and then it was built around that. But nevertheless, for those of you who've never really seen Mod like me, because it's a very, very, very old show, it's the same principles. Like, I mean, the end result is the same. Like, why are black men with women that are less pretty than they are handsome? I've seen gorgeous PhDs and MDs. If they chose fields that make them money, they tend to get a glow up. Maybe. I mean, I'm pretty sure that, if you have the money and, you need a nip and tuck, why not? But the guys aren't really with them for the money. They're more so with them for the nip and tuck. It's got to be deltas in STEM. I went to PWI, and there were very few SG rows at the school that I went to. Okay, let's just start here. Most females who were most black females who were in STEM were not American. They were African. Let's start there. So when I was making my assessment on everything, I wasn't necessarily talking about Black American women, but the few that were there were average or above average. And they were not Greek at all. I'm trying to think if there's exceptions, but keep in mind, this isn't a shot at, AKAs or deltas or zetas, but this is just my observation. Very few were in STEM, and we would have crossover events. Okay, so where I went to school, and if you're Black and in STEM and you went to a PWI, back me up and let me know if this is your story too. We were kind of like our own fraternity. So whenever there were like crossover group functions with the Black Greeks, we would get invited separately in like a part of the coalition. Like if the Qs were to have something, they were to invite the Kappas or the deltas and AKs. They would also invite us as a separate non-Greek thing, same as if you're an athlete or something like that. So that's how it was where I went to school. So it really didn't matter if they were in STEM or not. If, we had plenty of opportunity to meet with the female Greeks. The Proud family is different. She was super light. Okay. Trying to remember if I remember much about the wife. But no, I mean, Cosby Show did represent, and the Proud family, from what I remember, did represent as well. Granted. The title is so true and unfortunate. Yes. Fred Sanford's nurse was good looking for him. I didn't really see enough of Fred Sanford to know the nurse that you're talking about. However, if he's with an attractive woman and he is a junk salesman, which I did not know was a thing, and it's probably not anymore. But I got a feeling like that is very low on the pussy wetting job scale. So yeah, I can see that. The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. The only black character has an actual. Okay, that's I don't know what that is. So move past that. Let's see. All right, support me. By the way, the Deltas aren't the cute sorority. Well, they're not. They're not the ugly sorority. I'm not going to say which one is, but it's not them. I found many Deltas attractive. Yes, because what else does the typical 90% of them have to offer the world? Even then, they put themselves in deep debt for low-paying jobs. Yeah, that's if they get the job. Exactly. They're getting the education. They're going into debt not for a job, but for a proximity to a man. They're just looking for the edge over all the uneducated women. Where a boob job would give you edge over small-breasted women. Like, if you're looking for an edge. My bad. Oh, okay. I appreciate you saying. It says I called it King of Queens. I call it the King of Queens effect. Okay, that's another show. You're right. Sitcom featuring fat. What's that? Chubbly. Am I pronouncing that right? Chubbly white guys married to damn near supermodel wives. Yeah. Isn't that strange? Because, and once again, if black men were to cross over long enough, and live in white society, and then just kind of like look at those type of relationship pairings, he'll start to reappraise himself relative to the men that these women are married to. Even though Bill Cosby's wife was petty on the show, she still was super feminist. I wouldn't say super. I will say that, okay, I don't even think it was Claire's character that was on the feminist spectrum. I think that the show had much feminist leanings. Like, they vilified Elvin. They vilified Kenny's brother. There was like always this Kenny's brother. My brother said, and it would be something that that they classified as misogynistic, but it turns out that he was right, because apparently once you take the leash off, once feminism becomes unchained, you wind up going to jail for 3 years. So once again, Cosby fan. I back Cosby 100%. I'm just calling it how it is. Like, that society they took what you helped build, and that is a feminist society, and weaponized it against you with no mercy. They was just ruthless with it. They never stopped and said, something, he's been a champion of women. He's been a champion of feminism. But when they seen the opportunity to take you down, they did not hesitate. They did not miss a beat, and they did not cry. They not gonna cry, they not gonna pout, they not gonna shed a tear. Remember that scene on New Jack City where Nino Brown had to take out G Money? And he had to think about the past, like, man, this was my number one, this was my ace from the beginning. From from back when we was broke playing basketball for dough. But I had to do it. And he regretted it and he had tears. They had no tears. They're like, yeah, we're gonna take out our day one and who's next? Oh, yeah, that Jonathan Major needs a check-in. They did not care. Spelman College was like, yeah, we're going to keep your 20 million, but we're going to take your statues down. We're going to keep this 20 million, though. They do not. I swear. Deltas are the dark-skinned sword. Okay, that's because you're in the South. We don't have that. And yes, we have Deltas. That's not a thing. By the way, I went to school in California. We never addressed that only 1/4 of Black women have degrees. Well, only 1/4 of them actually have collarbones. So I mean, yeah, which is less than any other group. Exactly. Started with The Simpsons and went to Family Guy. Nah, dude was right. There was it's been going on since at least the Flintstones, but I think even before that, I think that there was a show called, let me see. Like the Moonlighters or the Honeymooners or something. What's that show where dude was like, one of these days, pow, right in the kisser. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. It's a very, very, very old show that I only know from that clip where he says, because when you're a kid, stuff like that is just hilarious. So yeah, here it is. The Honeymooners. The Honeymooners. So I'll show y'all this, and it's actually in black and white. That's how old it is. So yeah, this is look at this pairing. So white guys, knowing their worth as men, tend to get with women who are prettier than they are handsome. Black men don't, but at least she's educated, right? Okay. Mess me with that foolishness. That has always happened to black men in the suburbs. That's why you don't see them with BBWs like dudes in the hood. Yeah. Unless he got with the BBW while in the hood. Like before he left the suburbs. And I'm by no, or if he, yeah. Let's see. And I'm by no means trying to suggest that darker skin means that the woman is less attractive. I don't think that you were doing that. Considering that the most attractive black women I've ever seen actually dated, 2 of them were actually African. Yeah. I don't know if you're talking to me with that, but yeah, I mean, I don't think that dark skin are more or less attractive. Actually, Latin women have a couple of percentage points less. Both groups are the brokest groups. I think Latin women make a little bit more than black women. HW. Don't brag about their degrees. What's HW? However, because they're seen as prettier. Well, I mean, it's very difficult to compare Latin women to any other race of women in as it pertains to education. And the reason for that is, quite frankly, I don't know what they have going on in that regard. So either they do have like education levels that we're completely unaware of because they keep it to themselves like a normal freaking woman, or they don't, which means that they really don't have anything to brag about. But one thing is clear in the Latin community is that they understand how little it matters. And they have a very, very, very clear understanding, more so than white women. They have a very, very, very clear understanding of what does matter to men. And in some cases, I will say Asian women too. You see, if you were to just break women down to their basic ethnic stereotype as it pertains to value to men, you come up with an interesting formula. And let's start with Latin women. Latin women offers healthy, intact family that knows how to party and have a good time. That's what Latin women. Oh, and amazing food. Amazing food. You ask a Latin woman what she brings to the table, she'll say a lot of kids, a lot of cousins, a lot of sisters, a lot of brothers. You know, our wedding will be full. There'll be a quinceañera every year for the rest of your entire life. Christmas morning will have 50 people there every single year. You know, if you want a strong family, that's what they will bring. And the food. Let's not forget that part. Asian women, their collective ethnic reputation is as follows. Yes, we won't party as hard as the Latin women. However, we will give you the most educated, intelligent sons you have ever seen. We will make sure that your son has a variety of different disciplines. And because he is half Black, some of those might be athletic. If he is not athletic, he will be taking, the piano, the kung fu fighting, the soccer, the I already said piano, but I was gonna name another instrument like the clarinet or something like that. I don't know the difference between a violin and a fiddle, so I'm gonna say violin. And he will go to an Ivy League school, all while he's kung fu fighting. And in addition to that, I will stay slim to the day that you die because they live a lot longer than Black men. I will stay slim to the day you die. I will look young until the day I look old, which just so happens to be about 3 years before you die. So, yes, for whatever reason, they stay young until they reach a certain age and then they get really old really fast. Oh, and the complete and total submission to you, even though I out-earn you. That's what Asian women offer. White women offer complete and total sexual. They have a much higher sexual drive than the aforementioned groups and the soon to be mentioned groups. And they have much, much, much lower red tape when it comes to that. They have greater sexual imagination than any other group. And they know exactly how to entice a man in that regard, unlike Asian women. They work hard to preserve their looks, to preserve their body, and they're decent, homemakers. You're not going to get the large families, the large happy family that you get with Latin women, and you most certainly are not going to get the well-disciplined family that the Asian woman provides, nor the natural age preservedness, as well as the direct submission. However, they are slightly less submissive than the Asian woman, slightly less fun than the Latin woman, but they make up for both in hypersexuality. Black women, some of them are educated. And that's it. And there you have it. So if you wonder why they lean on the education so much, it's because when you break it down, like I just broke it down, there's nothing else. There's nothing else. They might as well just say, I have a vagina. Like that. Hit the like button. There's literally nothing else. You're not going to get the Ivy League son that an Asian woman would give you. Nope. While Asian women are teaching their sons, how to be a chess master, Black women are teaching their sons how to get cigarettes from the liquor store. Press 1 in the chat room if you are adept at getting cigarettes from the liquor store. In fact, I got a clip for y'all. Hold on. Do you want to go? To the liquor store. Somebody say, yeah, white women seem to have very few sexual boundaries. I know. There are things that you have to ask Black women for that white women will ask you for. I'll never forget the first time a white woman said, "May I suck your penis?" She was dead serious. She was dead serious. Looked me dead in the eye and hoped that I gave her permission. Dead serious. And the truth of the matter is that how can I say this? What's the least crude way of saying this? Black women Whether they like it or not is immaterial. They know that you like it, so they ask, "What's in it for me?" For white women, in many cases, what's in it for them is the penis. That is what's in it for them. All right, let me find this. Let me find this short. Oh, there's another short I wanted to share with y'all too. This was on Mediocre Tutorial and Reviews, but it was on Instagram. Let me see if I can find it in his YouTube page. So when black men say we don't really give a damn about education, it's not that it's really more of an indifference, but it's like education doesn't make up for, and it doesn't put you in a competitive realm with all this other stuff. And notice it's only black men that are saying this, because it's only black women who are saying, you know, education, I got education, I got education. It's only them that's saying that. All the stuff that other groups want, all the stuff that other groups of women offer, excuse me, is more valuable than the education. Healthy, intact family and foods. Thank you, Latina. Highly structured and disciplined, you know, and successful families. Thank you, Asian woman. Super freak. Thank you, white woman. Like, once you start throwing that stuff in there, everything else is just garbage. It's like, I mean, yeah, but we got to educate. Oh, you're just stretching. It's kind of like trying to sell yourself to somebody that you want, but you know that the dude is okay. I'm a funny dude. I am unquestionably the funniest man alive. That being said, if I were interested in, and I am, you know, just not with high expectations, and let's just say Beyonce, and I'm trying to sell myself in comparison to Jay-Z. It's like, yeah, he's rich, famous, talented, you know, ostrich, and you know, and all that stuff. Excellent business mind, all that stuff. And I just say, I'm funny. Yeah, but you know, there's that whole billionaire thing that he has going on. I mean, like, I'm funny. Yeah, okay. We get it. What you have don't compare to what he's offering. And that's what education is. It doesn't compare to what other groups of women are offering in abundance. Here we go. Here we go. This is the story. Okay. Now we're going to talk about motherhood. We're going to talk about motherhood because we talked about the Asian and the Latino motherhood. Now we're just going to investigate Black motherhood. Hit the like button.
People think you're supposed to take care of your parents no matter what. But my mother left me homeless when I was 17, not struggling, not barely getting by. I mean, completely homeless. One day, she packed up everything that mattered to her. Then she ran off with another man to start a new life. And she made that clear. She left me and my siblings sitting in an apartment in a project waiting for the locks to get changed. I remember the last day she came back to get the rest of her stuff. She looked at me directly in my eyes and she asked, "So what you finna do?" And I stood there hoping my mama would say, "Come with me," but she didn't. She grabbed the rest of her stuff, walked out the door, and left me right there. 17 years old. No plan, no guidance, no mama, just the streets. So I took it to the chin. I slept wherever I could sleep, pillow the post with my baby mama. Eventually, I got a job. At 18 years old, I got my own place. And I started building a life for myself. I became the man that nobody invested in. Fast forward about 12 or 13 years later, my phone rang. Hey, son, it's your mama. She had just been put out. Now, she needed somewhere to stay. And I had it. I had the space. I had the money. I had the resources. For a moment, my heart wanted to say yes, because that's my mama. But then my memory kicked in. Flashbacks of being 17 years old, standing outside that apartment, watching my mama walk away. So I told her, no, mama. And I reminded her, you remember when you left me homeless? I had to figure it out. And I told her, you had to figure it out just like I did. Would you believe she hung up before I did? And I'm not gonna lie, I sat there for a moment, shed a few tears, because denying your own mother somewhere to stay hurts. But boundaries matter. Some people think forgiveness means access. It doesn't. I forgave my mother, but she doesn't get the benefit from the man I became without her investment. You can love someone and still refuse to let them benefit from the damage that they cause, because sometimes the harvest people reap is the seeds that they planted. Most people think
That story was not only sad, in a lot of ways, it's my story, but I'm not going to get into that. It is a story of so many Black men out there. It's Tupac's story. When I was young, me and my mom had beef, 17 years old, kicked out on the streets. 17 years old, kicked out on the street. What does that sound like? Okay, that sounds like this brother. And so many of you who are listening now, who are hitting the like button right now. That happens all the time. And somebody mentioned welfare in the chat room. It's not a coincidence that these situations always seem to happen at 17. Right when that last check is about to come. And also, in addition to they look at parenting as a job that you get paid for, and they quit once the checks start coming. In addition to that sick, twisted mentality, there's also some deliberate sabotaging going on. And I noticed this a lot with Black mothers, and this is because of my dealings with the youth, particularly the talented youth, is that not only do they kick them out when they're 17, they kick them out on their senior year of high school. And that's to interrupt any plans that you have. So say you're college bound, and pretty soon getting kicked out won't have any impact because you're going to be sleeping in a dorm at Harvard. So they're not going to wait until August to kick you out when you were going to leave anyway. Nah, they're going to do that in November. They're gonna put that burden on you right before finals. Right when you're about to, it's going to be like right at the most opportune moment to where you can lose that scholarship if you do bad this semester. You ever notice that? It's like right before you get drafted, the recruiters want to come and see your game. They want to come see you. They want to come see you play, and then that's when you're homeless. That's deliberate. And the reason for that is because Black women, and this goes for relationship as well, Black women feel that their bond to black men is based on tragedy and struggle and poverty. And once a black man is absent these burdens, he dismisses the black women. That's how they see things. So they do everything they can to keep tragedy, struggle, and burden in his life. They would rather see him unsuccessful and unhappy with a black woman than successful and happy with a non-black woman. Because their son's happiness doesn't matter. It's the happiness of some random broad that matters. Listen to the story again. Pay special close attention. Pay special close attention this time.
Think you're supposed to take care of your parents no matter what. But my mother left me homeless when I was 17. Not struggling, not barely getting by. I mean, completely homeless. One day, she packed up everything that mattered to her. Then she ran off with another man.
Pay attention to what he just said there. Another man. So this son-husband dynamic has seeped into his psyche. Another man, like relationship, like that's something that you say when you're in a romantic relationship with somebody who left you for another romantic partner. That's not something that you say as a son whose mother left you for a potential mate. So you see the Freudian slip that he had there.
To start a new life, and she made that clear. She left me and my siblings sitting in an apartment in a project waiting for the locks to get changed. I remember the last day she came back to get the rest of her stuff. She looked at me directly in my eyes and she asked, "So what you finna do?" And I stood there hoping my mama would say, "Come with me," but she didn't. She grabbed the rest of her stuff, walked out the door, and left me right there. 17 years old. No plan, no guidance, no mama, just the streets. So I took it to the chin. I slept wherever I could sleep, pillow the post with my baby mama.
Y'all see what happened? So she put him in survival mode. And what did he do at 17 while he was in survival mode? That's just my baby mama. What? That's just my baby mama. Oh, that's just my baby mama. Oh, yeah, he got himself a baby mama. See, she locked him in there early. She locked him in basically the hood early. 17. So him being homeless and, rest of my head, pillar to post and stuff like that, he formed a relationship. Instead of for waiting until his potential was realized, he formed a strong relationship young and out of necessity, a necessity that his mama created. Very likely with a black woman, this relationship is. See, once again, she understands that, she believes, and in this case it was true, that Black people bond under tragedy and struggle and poverty. So she created those conditions to assure that he got himself a baby mama. And they never married. Like, to this day, he calls her baby mama. He didn't say ex-wife. Or he didn't say wife. He said, my baby mama. She set him up to be a baby daddy.
Eventually, I got a job. At 18 years old, I got my own place. And I started building a life for myself. I became the man that nobody invested in. Fast forward About 12 or 13 years later, my phone rang. Hey, son, it's your mama. She had just been put out. Now, she needed somewhere to stay. And I had it. I had the space. I had the money. I had the resources. For a moment, my heart wanted to say yes, because that's my mama. But then my memory kicked in. Flashbacks of being 17 years old, standing outside that apartment, watching my mama walk away. So I told her, no, mama. And I reminded her, you're.
See, that wasn't supposed to happen. Tragedy and struggle was supposed to bring you closer to your mama. See, the psychological games that these women play on their sons is horrific. Basically, her leaving is supposed to put a emptiness inside you that you're forever are trying to fill. When she asks you for a place to stay, for a place to live, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, you were supposed to see that as an opportunity to fill the void that she put into you. But it didn't work out that way.
Remember when you left me homeless? I had to figure it out. And I told her, you don't have to figure it out just like I did. And would you believe she hung up before I did? And I'm not gonna lie. I sat there for a moment, shed a few tears, because denying your own mother somewhere to stay hurts. But boundaries matter. Some people think forgiveness means access. It doesn't. I forgave my mother, but she doesn't get the benefit from the man I became without her investment. You can love someone and still refuse to let them benefit from the damage that they cause, because sometimes the harvest people reap is the seeds that they planted. Most people think you supposed.
Yeah. I had to share that story with y'all. So at that point, does it really matter if she's educated? Your ethnic reputation is trash. And instead of her trying to change this trashy ethnic reputation, you decide to just try to highlight something that don't matter. And it's funny because Black women are the first to have like a list of requirements for a man. And if a man was to shoot back something that's not on the list, they would just laugh at him. You know, their list be like, 6-pack, 6 figures, 6 inches soft, 6'6", 6 vacations a year, and $600 a week allowance, and take care of my 6 kids. So they have criterias like that. What if we were to shoot back, yeah, but I'm a Virgo. We have a list of criterias that, quite frankly, very, 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 very few of you meet. It's not that, education is or isn't on that list. It most certainly isn't a deal breaker. I mean, men aren't turning down good women because of education or lack thereof. So it most certainly isn't a deal breaker. But it's just a very low priority. But it's your number one selling point, which really says something. Like, your number one selling point is a optional thing. It's an optional thing. Like, like on a resume or something, they put like they have like optional skills that may or may not, like if you're gonna work from home and you're an accountant or something like that, it's like people skills, and people put that on their resume. But it's like that's I guess it's nice to have because we will be interacting with you from time to time, but you're not in sales, and you're not you're not really facing clients like that. So really, we just need somebody who can crunch the numbers. It's like that. Yeah, that's the perfect word for it. Soft skill. It's a soft skill. It's kind of like fucking without Viagra. It's a soft skill. Like it's not, you're not going to sell anything with that. That's like going to a restaurant and say, we have the best ketchup in town. It's like, listen, okay, that's great. You have like the fresh picked tomato ketchup. It doesn't really matter if the food is crap. Stop trying to sell something that don't matter. Your Arby's. Arby's is the trash of all restaurants. It is the nastiest food that I've ever tasted at a chain FDA approved establishment. So if they were to have like nice milkshakes or something like that, listen, that's not enough. We have curly straws. That's not enough. Yes, it's nice to have, but it's not enough. Somebody said it's the cherry on top, but without the cake, it's worthless. Exactly. It's just a cherry. And you know something? I don't think that those are real cherries. I'm going to go off into a tangent here for a second, as I do often. Whatever that is that they put on the top of ice cream is not the same thing that I buy in the store in an expensive bag. It'd be like $5.99 where I live. But they're so delicious. So whatever that strange thing is, that cherry-like thing that Baskin Robbins put on top of ice cream, that is not a cherry. And without the ice cream, it's really just trash. How black women move in concert to control black men really does keep me in awe. Yeah, it's me too. Me too. I have to say, it is spectacular. Considering I spent the whole day working with nothing but black people and seeing their lives. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know much about the second part, but yeah, I have to say that they give an enormous effort and an enormous cost. That's an enormous cost to black men or to the community. The community is what's bearing that cost. That's why our community has completely diminished and suffered. The community bears the burden of this effort. Kind of like we're bearing the financial burden, the taxpayer is, and the gas driver is bearing the financial burden of what's going on, let's just say in Asia. We have bared this burden. And they're bearing it too. They're self-sacrificing in order to, listen, they know that they understand that scarcity equals value. And they understand that in order to make relationships scarce in a black community, because it's more or less a 50-50 ratio between man and woman, a lot of women are going to have to be deliberately single. And they're willing to bear this burden in order for the few who are looking for relationships to have one that is extremely advantageous. They understand that if all black women were to be in the dating market at the same time, then black men will have more of an abundance mindset. So they do everything possible to assure that they are not in the dating market at the same time. Which is why some black women are in the dating market and other black women are in the waiting market. They wait their turn. Which is why if they get married at all, they get married at a significantly higher age than other groups of women. They're real cherries, but they're preserved and candied. How come they don't have no seed? Where's the seed? How is it born from a cherry with no seed in it? The ones who come from those homes with only Keisha are unusually unhinged. Look at Draymond Green. I don't know who that is. All right. Back to some more Media Man coverage. All right. Somebody said, if that's the plan, black women are insane. Do they not know more black men are leaving the plantation? 30% of black men with degrees and making money leave the community. They know, they just don't really have any, they really don't have anything else. They really don't have anything else. So it's kind of like the British. Y'all know how in American history, you know, the British had like these perfect formations and, you know, they just had the discipline and they would just walk straight in and they shoot and then a person behind them shoots and then they just had like this complete rotation that just worked perfectly. Well, when America started, you know, like hiding behind trees and picking them up in the cuts and stuff like that, they really didn't know like another way. They just kind of kept with this thing that wasn't working very well. Black women, as far as mating strategy goes, it's the equivalent to playing rock, paper, scissors with somebody that always picks rock. And they really don't know how to unclench their fist. Like, no matter how many times they lose in rock, paper, scissors, they just keep playing rock. They just keep playing rock. They can't unclench their fingers to let out 2 fingers for scissor, and they can't unclench it to let out all fingers for paper. They just keep playing rock. That's them. Okay. So it's pitted and stuff. Okay, got it. So it is a cherry. All right. Well, that's only if the man is black. There's no deal breakers for Brad who date them. Literally none. Well, once again, that's part of the sacrifice process. They need a large number of women to date Brad in order to create scarcity for black men. So black men who are loyal to black women will say, oh man, this is all we pick. Okay, let me just get a fat Keisha. That's the plan. But what they fail to realize, because what they fail to realize is that even though they may, or at least they're attempting to create scarcity amongst black men, they're creating an abundance amongst white men. So they're not escaping the abundance mindset. And that's why they take inferior deals when they're dealing with white men, and they also take abuse and other stuff. It's because of that. Really, essentially, what they're doing is they're taking one for the team, which is the realest thing you're ever going to hear. He actually plays for the Warriors. I don't. Okay, you got to make him relevant to the conversation. I don't know what you're talking about, but okay. Okay, he's a basketball player. I know he's a basketball player. I know because the basketball players have exotic names. Like Kobe and stuff like that. And LeBron. Like, I know. If my parents were more clever with my real name, I'd be a basketball player. Like, I mean, yeah, they have names like Shaquille. I know he's a basketball player. I heard the name. Like, well, I hear the name and I know it's I know what it is. Yeah. So it really did get bad in the '90s, like I thought. I was born in the '90s, so okay. Because black women are dating loser white men, those losers are dating white. Okay, because black women are dating loser white men are loser themselves. Yeah, yes. Now the sisterhood isn't going to tell them that, but yeah, that's essentially the recipe. Once again, it's all in the name. These women are sacrificing themselves all in the name of greater control of black men. And I'm not talking about the ones who fall in love. Kudos to them. I'm talking about the ones who are doing this strategically. They're sacrificing themselves in the name of the sisterhood. Better black women, the few that are out there, can get a Brad, but he won't be a bum. Oddly, those better black women want black men. Um, yeah, there's a lot going on in the whole Brad dynamic. I will say that there exists a not insignificant amount of black women who really are more into the optics of Brad than they are in the actuality of Brad. The optics being that they're with a well-to-do person. So, a month ago or so, I covered this Russian guy who, just went on a skeet spree in Kenya and Ghana. I think the other country was Ghana. And I also covered an interview with one of the girls who skeet, skeet, skeet. And she just swore up and down that he was so rich, even though there was no evidence of wealth. I mean, yes, he had a plane ticket and, an apartment and stuff like that. But she was talking like, I'm sure he can afford a Benz and stuff like that. There was really no evidence of wealth, but that doesn't matter because the assumption is enough to give her what she really wants. And what she really wants is the adoration of her peers. Write that down or type it. But if you're going to type it, print it because it's very important. And I don't want to get it lost if your hard drive crashes. One of the most important things to black women is the adoration of their peers. So he could be broke as long as when they are together and walking down the street, he appears to be wealthy. And before the show is over, I'll cover that King of Queens situation. where apparently she's doing the OF thing. King Picks, yep, he talked about it in an interview, but of course he was still praising them. What he? I fully agree. I've been telling dudes that the black women with their stuff together barely date out. Yeah, no, I mean it is a first choice thing. It's only the ones that look like Danica Marie, but they want to prove something to the sisterhood. You know, it's only those. Like Crystal Carrison. Even though she don't look like Danica Marie and Crystal Carrison had liposuction. Crystal Carrison is even backing off because she's actually just shocked at how far. She didn't think that black women would take it this far, that they would degrade themselves so much. But what did you expect when you throw yourselves at a group of men with already high standards that's shown no interest to you? Like, what did you expect when that happened? I can only say that when I was living with my last long-term black girlfriend, there were too many fine sisters out there. Once we broke up, I couldn't find a same fit, no kids, single black woman. Well, yeah, yeah, there is that whole want what you can't have thing. Um, yeah, that's. Oh, you talking about? Is that what you were talking about when you were talking about the '90s before? Okay. The narrative is that Brad gets to find black women. Guys be exaggerating. They'll see one average black woman with a Brad and exaggerate it. Yeah, that's because those guys are in their feelings. I mean, white guys do get a better deal from black women than black guys do. That's all part of the control tactic. I mean, I guess it's effective because they do make like a certain number of black men jealous in that arrangement, but you're sucking the penis of a subpar guy. I mean, like, so that's really like a Pyrrhic victory. I mean, think about it. Like, say if I were to get with Roseanne or some Amy Schumer type chick, and I'm bringing her to the hood and showing her off, like, and then I gotta go home and and have that sit on my face as I try not to suffocate to death, every night. And I'm like, yeah, that'll show Keisha. It's like, okay, okay. And Shay Sade really breaks down how that works, but you know what irks me when black women hype up wearing natural hair as something they should be worshipped for, but meanwhile in Brazil, it's what's the norm for them to wear their hair natural? Well, yeah, I mean the hair that black women buy comes from a Brazilian woman's head. It's the split ends of a Brazilian woman. Like, all right, y'all talking to each other, so let me get ahead of these comments. Let's see. Exactly. Fine black women are a unicorn as a group. There'll be plenty of affluent together black men for them. They may kick it with a white guy who is about something, but that's a rarity. Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, well, it's a rarity when they try, when they make themselves overly available, and typically with swirlers and stuff, the white guy is going to pick up on it. And he has to ask himself, do I wish, the quality white guy, do I wish to bring a son into this world whose mothers hate him? Do I want to bring a son into the world who's being set up to be controlled by the women in his own community? Do I want that for my son? And the answer is undoubtedly no. They see the struggles that black men have with black women. Why would he put that burden on his son? Okay, go ahead and send that email then. I'm curious. But the Brads don't even appear to be wealthy. They're literally always dusty. Yeah, see, and that's the thing. It's not, I mean, he appears to be wealthy because he's Brad. And Brad has this thing that they like to do where even the wealthy ones look dusty. And that's because they don't have to really try that hard, because people are always going to assume that they have money. So why do they even have to wear, stay Gucci down to the sock? You know, they don't really have to be Gucci down to the socks because people assume they have money either way. Black women like to work off that assumption, which is why they'll go to dinner with the white dude and then pick up the check afterwards. But we're going to talk about the appearance that black women are trying to make in a moment. Actually, let me get off of Media Man. And Media Man, listen, we just agree to disagree on some things. I did come off as harsh, and I understand you blocking me and stuff, and I'm not, trying to convince you otherwise. But I really don't have as much ill will towards you as you may think I do. So I'll just let that out there. Let's see. Similar to what you say, GC, they try to create a scarcity in wearing their natural hair. Well, yeah. Okay, so y'all talking to each other again. Let's see. Brad gets the same cliche you get when black men really have to understand. Well, no, it's a superior thing because people. Okay, I'll tell you a story. Spite is a great motivator. It's a great motivator. I'm trying to think if I ever had spite pussy. I can't think of an instance where I have. So I'm going to say no to that. Spite pussy would be something that I broke up with my boyfriend, so I'm going to get with the guy that I know would make him upset. I'm going to spite fuck him and tell him, oh, actually, it hasn't happened to me, but, and I played this movie on movie night. It's called Three Way. There's a movie called Three Way, and I'm not going to spoil too much of it, but there was a woman there who her boyfriend broke up with her because she's boring in bed. She gets another boyfriend, and they have a three-way. And then at the end of the movie, when the three-way was over, she showed her previous boyfriend, like, see, I just had a three-way. Look. And it was the other two couple there, and, they were naked and stuff. It's like, why didn't you just have a three-way with your first boyfriend? Because she did it out of spite. She's like, take a look at what you're missing out on. So who benefited from that? The new dude. Now let's talk about the divestiture swirlers. These women are doing extra out of spite. Just for that moment, and Kristen Carrison invested her whole life in it. But just for that moment, so they could just look back to their ex, Kristen Carrison's ex, her first baby daddy. They could look back at her ex and say, see what you're missing? So yes, women do a lot out of spite, and it benefits it benefits somebody, and in this case, Brad. All right. If I was with that same skinny Keisha, dudes would be like, she got a baby boy. She too skinny. I don't know. Black community helped me become more anti-nihilist. That's almost a double negative than I already was. Okay. Oh wait, Natalist. What's that? All right. I was always talking about this. A lot of the times Black men do this when they see an average or cute Becky with a Black man. They're trained to pretend like she's not cute. I don't think I've ever done that. I don't think I've ever done that. Do Black men engage in relationships with other groups of women who are not pretty? Absolutely. Do they engage in relationships with other groups of women who are less pretty than the Black woman that they qualify for? And that is no. It is rare that you will see a relationship with a Black man and a non-Black woman and say he could have done better had he gotten with a Black woman. That's rare. Because we've been conditioned to take lesser women. So really the lesser white women tend to be just like a little bit more than the lesser Black woman that he would be with. Meaning that they're both overweight, but Keisha just so happened to be overweight with an attitude and she's overweight with not an attitude. Or they're both overweight with an attitude, but Keisha has a bonnet on and this one has real hair. So, I mean, they're just slightly less. So, or they're just like slightly better. And that's in a situation where it's a derelict white woman. Those are typically for pookies and stuff like that. And really, those are the ones that Cynthia G complained about heavily because Pookie Ray Ray is the Black man that Black women are supposed to have the most control over. So remember before, I'll put the link out there. Remember before when I was talking about the sacrifice that Black women are willing to make for control of their men. Pookie Ray Ray represents that control. So to see Pookie Ray Ray with a non-Black woman, then it means that they made that sacrifice in vain. Because they spent their entire life making sure that he was a broke-ass nigga, but loyal to Keisha, and now you just have a broke-ass nigga. So that's like the ultimate loss. The ultimate loss. Who was that crazy? Literally nuts, and she admitted that. Swirlers, who was always hating on Black men, but when she got a Brad, he always disappointed her. She looked like she smelled under a cheap wig. if Keisha really had it like that, they would be pulling Chads. Well, if Keisha had it like that, she would be Asian. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, no, I seen the thumbnail. I haven't seen the show. I'm about to play that now. But I know the story. I've seen the story somewhere where the King of Queens chick, apparently she's doing OnlyFans. But I suspected it before, and here's why. They talked about it somewhere where she said that she had a sugar daddy that she met at the same time that she met him on a site. It's just that, you know, she married him, and the other dude was still the sugar daddy. Now, at that time, and I think I put it on a video, I concluded that she met both guys on the sugar daddy site. Or no, I mean, my bad. She met both guys on OnlyFans. It's just that she decided to marry this guy. Now, it's not really your decision at that point. If you're a guy on OnlyFans paying to see someone's naked feet, then you're not in a place to deny an opportunity to not only fuck her, but have her indefinitely. You're not going to deny that. And because you're an OnlyFans fan, the relationship is going to be slanted extremely in her favor. That's why, you know, you see her disrespecting him constantly, and him putting up with it, because this is his life. Like, you know, his life before that was jacking off the pictures of her. So no matter what she does, it's better than what he had prior to that. He's living his fantasy. And she just sustained the image. But we're going to talk about that. I'm going to play O'Shea's with that so we can have some context. I'm only going to play a little bit of O'Shea's. A lot of this stuff is fluff. But nevertheless, I'm going to play it. When I see a pretty Becky or Asian woman, I note it. The rare times I see a pretty black woman, I celebrate it because they just don't exist. Yeah, they are very few. And not because of genetics, but because of diet. Keisha already know most Chads will choose Latino or Asian if he isn't with a white chick. Yeah. Unless the black woman is more attractive than any white woman that he has access to, or Asian woman that he has access to, which seems to be the case of King of Queens, then that's what he's going to get. I mean, men are just going to go for the most attractive deal. They start with a white woman, and if they can't get even a fat white woman, they go to Latina and Asian. Then they throw with the ghetto Keishas, most decide to be an incel before Keisha, which is a very true statement. A very true statement. But the decision of incel comes well before Keisha on this scale that you mentioned here. The incel decision really comes before fat women. A lot of white dudes would rather be an incel than be with a fat woman. Like when you look at the quote unquote notorious incel, his anger was targeted not just to women, it was a very particular subset of white women. This guy could have probably had a chance if you ventured out to Keisha, but he would sooner just, you know, go to the lower room before he actually did that. spite pussy is what white women do all the time. Not necessarily. Like I do know that there exists white women who want something different than the uncle that molested them, but doesn't mean that her being with a black dude is out of spite. It means that she don't want to trigger harsh memories. Only Keishas I see with attractive white dudes are the Keishas who are in diverse circles. Yeah, exactly. And those aren't swirlers. They're not doing it out of spite. They're doing it. They're just doing it because that's their proximity and that's what they wound up with. You see, you could tell those because they're not, signaling to the sisterhood. So, those are easy to spot. Okay, so I'm on MTR's page. It was something I want to show y'all real quick that he showed me on his about a brother in Thailand. Let me see if I can find that. If I can't. Here it is. Okay. Because I didn't think I was going to find it because I seen it on his Instagram and I didn't want to go to Instagram. So I was like, hopefully he posted on YouTube too. And he did. All right. So shout out to MTR. So before we were talking about what different ethnicities of group offered their men reputedly, and I stumbled a little bit on Asian, but now we have a full, clearer picture, and I'm going to share it now.
All right, so we're about to go out right now, but I need to clip my nails. Watch this.
Nothing.
Hold on. That's my job. Let me. Okay. Why'd you do that?
Did she say that's my job?
No, look. Come to Thailand.
All right.
So
Brother,
we're about
I'm
to go.
coming. She heard a snip. She came a running and called him daddy. All right. LA, Atlanta, New York, Detroit, Chicago, all of these, Miami, all of these U.S. cities, baby. We going abroad.
And another one. So, it's not that their degrees don't matter. Is that it don't matter if this particular Thai woman has a degree. You can place any degree with some chick that who she hears clipping sounds. She's like, oh no, daddy, that's my work. I'm a PhD, really don't sound better than, oh daddy, that's my work. And then she just runs out of the room with a dress on and quickly get on her knees. Like, oh.
I remember when the whole thing about when Austin when he actually came out and was like starting to go viral, and people were comparing what the dating coaches were saying and what women were saying compared to what how women outside of the country cater to you.
Uh-huh.
And I remember Lucario said, "Oh, woman will fix you a plate in America. You just gotta be. You just not that nigga. If you were that nigga, she would fix you a plate instantly." And I'm like, "Oh my god!" It's just like the gaslighting just sees no end. Like, remember, there was a time when every time you'll see it this year during Thanksgiving, there's gonna be discussions. Should you make your man a plate? It's like, bro, like, what are we talking
Yeah,
about, man?
exactly. Exactly. So I mean, it's once again, it's not that degrees don't matter. It's just that other women are talking other stuff. They're talking, that's my work, daddy. Now, on that scale, on that magnitude, degrees don't matter. On that magnitude, it's like, well, a degree matters until some chick comes out of nowhere, you know, with a slim waist, and I don't know what her face looks like, but she come out of nowhere with a slim waist and start clipping your nails with a sense of urgency. Then at that point, they stop mattering.
You know, I've said this before. Black women are like the nice guys of the dating market. They try to sell you like it's like a guy. I'm not saying every single guy does it, and there are some good quality men that are just quality men, but we always hear that trope of when women get aggressively angry, like, "Oh, you're not a nice guy," right? It's like, let's say hypothetically, if a guy says, "Oh, I'm a nice guy," that doesn't move the needle with a woman. You saying that I'm a nice guy, right? Or is any kind of attraction triggers? And I'm not familiar with what Media Man said, but I can presume. Yeah, I could presume that he probably was saying like, "Oh, why are you dismissing a woman's degree?" But it's like that doesn't move the needle. Like I always tell people, your grandmother didn't have to have a degree in order to be a good woman. Like she still got wifed up and was taken care of. And when Big Daddy died, like she got to sit in his chair and have his house. Like they're trying to bully men, especially black men, and actually pretty much black men. They're trying to bully black men into liking what they deem should be attractive. Right. So it's like you have women saying, "Oh, you don't want to degree that what kind of," like I was on a panel and they were like, "What kind of man doesn't want his woman to be intelligent?" Like, no, stop gaslighting. It's not about intelligence. It's like, how does that move the needle for attraction? It's like if a woman do you like a first thing women want to know is one of the 5 things that instantly draws a woman. Is it that you are good with children? No, not necessarily. It's good, right? It's good to have, but it's not nothing. It's not nothing that's gonna move the needle in terms of attraction.
Exactly.
If
like,
you're yeah, go
it's
ahead.
only a tiebreaker. It's only if all things are equal, like completely equal. And I'm not talking about, okay, so the sisters, what do you call it? The Bailey sisters. The Bailey sisters, to me, and this is not a shot at Haley, are not equal. However, let's say that they were, and that's because I choose Chloe. There are brothers out there that choose Haley.
Right.
So collectively, they probably are equal. I just like full lips.
To me, what's her name? The one that wasn't in The Mermaid. What's her name?
Yeah, that's Chloe. That's my pick.
Chloe's not bad looking. She's not necessarily my type, but she's not bad looking. Like, you know,
that's my point. But she is my type because I love full lips, and I love almond eyes. So you know, and she's nice about the body. So that is my type. But I'm gonna, for the sake of this conversation, I'm gonna put them as equals.
Yeah.
Or put Chloe a little bit ahead of Haley.
The tiebreaker.
And the tiebreaker probably would be education. So, yes, if you have both Tia and Tamara just interested in you at the same time, then yes, that would be a nice tiebreaker.
Right.
But chances are, like those situations, these tiebreak situations never come about. Like it would have to be like, you know, Claire Huxtable and Angela Bassett just coming at you at the same time. And you're like, well, Claire has the degree from Hillman, so I'll go with that one. Like it would have to be like in an imaginary scenario like that.
All things being equal, right?
Yeah, like and with women, all things are rarely ever equal.
Right.
It all comes down to, you know, even And even if like they it would mean that they have like the same size throat. Like it, I mean, come on. When is it ever? When is it ever actually completely equal? Like
Or not all gag reflexes are created equal.
yeah, exactly. Like if you just put a blindfold on and you ate both of their food, and you know you'd be like, oh, yep, that's even. Like it's come on, it's rarely ever even to the point where it just came down to a degree.
But the irony is, and I haven't watched Media Man's stream, but I'm pretty sure where I know where he's headed to. They would never say that about men. You'll never hear women say all men are created equal. And they do that. Not only do they not, they know that, but they do that in order to instill competition amongst the men. Right. So like if I know in order to get the best out of men, I have to make, because men are built by like shame and honor and stuff like that. That's what motivates us. That's why if you have any displeasures or disagreements with the woman, they be like, oh, well, so-and-so doesn't have this issue. So-and-so doesn't have a problem. Why are you having this problem? So then it makes them, then the man has to question himself. You know what? Maybe I need to do better, and maybe I need to do and improve and stuff like that. And it just basically dismisses and deflects from the main issue at hand.
Right.
It's a very but it takes a while for people to understand that it's a conniving manipulation tactic, right? We all know that. No woman is created equal. Just woman will never tell you Michael B. Jordan is the same as anybody that comes on the YouTube. They will never say me or you are on the same level as Michael B. Jordan. But we have to accept that.
Well, they'll tell Michael B. Jordan that.
Right. That is true.
Because they don't want him to know his value. So they like, what? I can have another you in a minute. And the other him just so happen to be Azrael or GameChanger, but it's not another him. It's just somebody that you propped up to be another him, so you could just keep him humble.
Right.
All right. So Chantel had she interviewed not interviewed, but she reviewed a woman earlier who really got me thinking about the game dudes. And this is why the game dudes are lame dudes. So shout out to Chantel. Watch this clip.
Men are refusing to chase. Men are refusing to fall for those 90s R&B who's going to tell you to run. Y'all hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Let us get into the video that I'm talking about, because this.
Well, I have a video that men have to women asking for consistency, and they say, I'm not going to text all day every day. And I said, nobody. I will say they have consistently said this for the 10 plus years I have been interviewing men and trying to understand the psychology of men. Men do not mind pursuing. Okay, so lay down, fellas. I told you I would. Men don't mind pursuing. Men do not mind taking the lead. Men do not mind initiating. What men don't want to do is have a one-sided situation.
Facts.
They are not looking for the woman to pursue him back, but what they are looking for is a feminine level of reciprocity. She's not jumping into the driver's seat and taking over the steering wheel, but she is participating from the passenger side of the proverbial car. Okay? What does this mean? She's giving him choosing signals. She is signaling to him, you are barking up the right tree. No man who actually values himself, who has any self-respect, is going to incessantly pursue a woman who is not giving him choosing signals in return.
Exactly.
He is going to back off, see if she comes forward, or he's going to leave her alone completely. This is different than playing games, and that he's securely trying to attach. The best thing that you could do if a man is giving you attention and you're interested in him is to stay in your feminine, but let him know that his efforts are desired His energy is wanted. His interest is something that you like to have continue. Fellas, let him know in the comments.
But you see, that's the thing.
If I've hit the nail on the head.
I like.
Okay, now that is a direct assault at the game dudes. She basically said that if you keep pursuing, even though we aren't showing any choosing signals or anything like that, then we look at you as weak. Because they don't respect a man that, is approaching with no reciprocity. So these 25 women a day game dudes is just diminishing themselves to a ridiculous level.
Right.
And Lucario and them displayed that when they were in Brazil, trying to talk to as many chicks as they can. And then once the women realize that this is what you're about, they're like, bye. I mean, yes.
Yeah, Miami. Yeah.
They are. Did I say Miami?
You said Brazil.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, when they were in Miami. Yeah. When they were in Miami. That's yeah. They're like, bye. And that's because, if she put it beautifully, like, no self-respecting man is going to continue to pursue women who aren't interested, who aren't showing any choosing signals. But they're not teaching men self-respect. They're teaching them something different.
Yeah.
And this is the women saying it. Let's watch what Chantel has to say to this.
I like her perspective. And I have to give her props for saying that she spent the last 10 years trying to understand men, because we live in a society where women were programmed to think that we're the prize, not even pursue them, and they not reciprocate. The issue with thinking that you are the prize is you automatically think that you're. Why would you want to enter a relationship or the pursuit of a relationship thinking that you're superior to your man? Like, it doesn't make any sense. It's superior to anybody. Anybody who is walking around calling themselves the prize, your narcissism is showing. And I think that's what men have an issue with. Like, they don't want to be chasing women. And then especially when these women bring nothing of value to the table, a lot of them coming with their long titties anyways, coming with a bunch of baggage. Like, why would what man in his right mind is going to want to just chase somebody without getting any kind of hints that, yeah, she's interested? It's like the...
Okay. I'm going to stop right there because those Chantal has a lovely perspective. Is kind of on a different aspect of what this woman was saying than what I'm going with, and that is the game dudes. She basically, this is a direct assault at the game dudes and how women look at game dudes when they approach. It's like, listen, I'm not showing interest, and the fact that you're interested in a non-interested woman, and if you're talking to 25 women a day, then that's what you're doing. You're not. You don't get 25 choosing signals a day. And the reason why somebody's taking your course because they didn't see the choosing signals. No, you're telling these guys to just talk to 25 random women, whether they're choosing or not, and you already come off as weak to them. Now, women are crazy. Not just Black women, the plurality of women are crazy. And they're, okay, I should say they're illogical creatures by comparison, extraordinarily. And that's because women will, and they don't even realize that they're this illogical, but they know that they're not interested in men who pursue women who are not interested. And what a lot of them will do, and this is part, even the smart ones are this crazy or this illogical, is they'll put a lose-lose scenario out there. Like, oh, I'm going to play hard to get, meaning I'm showing disinterest. And if he continues to pursue me, he's a loser, and I'm not interested. If he don't pursue me, then he's a winner and I am interested, but he's no longer interested in me. So once again, entirely illogical. Entirely illogical. But that's women.
Some, because I ain't gonna hold you. I think, and I hate to say this, I think that's an American thing. It's very childish. Because I mean, to an extent, yeah, there's levels to it, but I hear even guys say like it doesn't have to be even South America, just in general. Like if you meet a chick on the street, let's say in France, right? You meet a black chick, right? She's not gonna be playing phone games of like, oh, take your number, right? Well, there's a chance if she might ghost you if she give out the number or she give out the wrong number, yes, but she's not gonna play this catch and wait kind of game. I may be wrong, but like in other cultures, I think it's an American thing of not being intentional. I've even heard, I've sent you these video clips of like people from other countries complaining about how dating in America is so hard because it's so many games. I've literally heard people, both men and women from other countries, say they hate dating in America because it's just, they said the people are cold and it's like you can't be transparent with nobody. You know, so I think that that whole thing of I don't like you, but you like me. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I agree that I can see the truth in that. I mean, I haven't dated abroad enough. I know I have stories, but these stories are vacation stories. So these stories aren't, and I'm not like out in other countries where English is a second language trying to holler like that. So I can't really speak to the dating scene as in depth in other countries as I can here. Well, actually I can, at least from an online perspective. And it's always with intention. It is now, maybe that intention is something that's not your intention, but it's always with intention online, meaning that they're not there just to see how many guys are trying to smash and so they can get off on that. But there are like, at least here, like you were saying, a lot of logic fails here that even smart women and even women who are looking to get picked fall for, that they create themselves. You know, it was some of them will say stuff like, you know, oh, that guy that's not interested in me is so sexy. And they'll even make the first move. But eventually if your attraction to him is his disinterest in you, eventually he's going to have to show some interest in you.
Right.
Even if it's when he wipes his dick and say, ooh, that was good. It's like, oh, he interested. I'm turned off now. It's
but you know, it's crazy that happens. Like, I mean,
I know, that's why I brought it up. I'm not making this up. That's why I brought that up.
It's so crazy. I haven't been dating in the States like that, right? But it's so crazy you say that because it's true. Like I've heard, and I've even heard Lucario like say this, like he said, once you sleep with a girl, like don't text her back immediately, because like you basically making her chase. And I'm like, damn, like I don't believe in effing with people's intentions like that. I remember one time I broke, because you know you're younger. Before I was 25, I used to bring my ex over. You know, we used to smash. We used to, you know, literally watch Netflix and chill. But we used to have a good time. Like, we used to have crab legs, all that good stuff, right? But then one time I remember we smashed, and like, because I live in New York, and like she left my house. I usually would walk her to the train station, and I didn't walk her to the train station one time. And then like by the time she got home, she was like not necessarily pissed, but she was emotional. Like, damn, like why you didn't walk me to the train station? Like, what's wrong? Did I do something wrong? It's like, nah, like I forgot. It just slipped my mind. It was like, yeah, I felt like you didn't care about me, right? But it's stuff like that makes me like, I can't, you know, mentally F somebody over. Like that's kind of a little dark triad trait kind of thing, right? You know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm gonna sleep with this person, but then I'm not gonna call them to second guess their value to me so that I can have further leverage over them. Like, I don't like to think like that. Now, do I believe men should have leverage naturally? Yes, I do. Like, you know, prove that you do have options. Like, she's not like you can't get someone else, right? But that goes along with standing your boundaries. But to do manipulative stuff like that, like, oh, I'm not gonna call you, especially, you know how women are insecure. Like women will actually like, oh, did it smell good? Like right after you have sex with them, like, oh, is there anything smell or is there anything that bothered you? Like, and I'm like, no, it's good. It's like, okay, just I remember that happened to one of my exes, and she said, okay, if anything smells, just let me know. You know, women are insecure like that. Like, so I would feel bad if I did that to somebody, you know, not call them after I smashed them and kind of make them second guess their value in life. But that's the little manipulation.
No, that's a good point.
Yeah, that's yeah. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, what he's saying is game, and their game just so happens to be a game where they make the rules as it goes. I mean, the key is to not play their game and get them to play yours. That's not something that Lucario and the others will say. I mean, and that's why they lose at their game. Like we've seen what happened in Miami. Like that's why they lose at their own game. Because at the women's game, because they're playing their game, you know.
Miami's the worst place to pick up women. You was better off going to the Bay. You know, I think the Bay has underrated women, by the way. I would say that. I find them to be they wear less makeup and they actually are if you talk to them, it sounds like they have something going on in their head, which I actually enjoy that. Like I met a couple of chicks at the wharf and they were real chill. But when it comes to Miami, it's literally it's softcore working girl vibes there. Like you have to look like you have money. Right now, I'm saying that is everywhere. No, but you can't just be looking like Lucario Miles in a t-shirt and some random jeans and expect them to approach. Like these are women that you might meet a chick that was on 2 yacht parties by multimillionaires and you trying to like talk to her. I'm saying that do you have to have a bunch of money to talk to women in general? No, but like that area of Miami is very more materialistic. So you can't. It's not. Yeah, you can't. Well, in my opinion, yes, you can't. I don't feel like you could just what Lucario and Miles are doing. You can't just do that in general. You know,
you can't do that most places, but you're right. That vibe that you're describing, I did pick that up.
Yeah,
I did pick that up. I did see a abnormally high concentration of extremely attractive women combined with men who are either wealthy or are displaying their wealth.
Right.
I walked a lot, not having a car there, and they did have like luxury car dealerships, which is something that's rare. Luxury car rental places.
Right.
Which is something that's rare in most everywhere else in America, including here. And that's because there isn't much of a need to rent a luxury automobile. There isn't that high of a demand. The purpose of renting an automobile is for temporary needs, not to stunt. However, the fact that they had dealerships, and I'm using plural, dealerships dedicated solely to that was a little overwhelming because it's like, okay,
there
this
just
is
for
definitely a flash culture on the men's side, but this is a beauty culture on the woman's side. So, it did seem like there was a lot of that going on. That being said, I did speak from time to time, and the women there, in spite of what's obvious, were extremely polite to me.
Okay.
Not to say choosing signals or anything like that, which is unfortunate for me. Nevertheless, they were, they weren't snobby or stuck up.
Okay. That clears. That makes sense. Yeah, I just it's just so funny to me. Like people, what do you think about California dating? You think people say people fake it? Well, I mean, it might be different from the Bay than in LA, but I hear people say I think the transplants are different from the people that actually might live in LA or in the Bay Area to an extent. They're more authentic and down to earth, but people, that's where they have the term act in Hollywood comes from. What would you say about dating in California?
I did very little in Southern California, Los Angeles, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The
I'm just saying,
women there, I'll start there because I have had some interactions with women there. Um, the women there look very young. So, uh, so when I was there, the first time in college, so okay, just some perspective. So for those of you who don't know, the Bay is very far from the LA area. It's maybe like 5-6 hours.
Right.
So I know people think that it's right next to each other. It's not. In fact, if we were on the East Coast, it would be about 4 states away.
Facts.
Yeah. I used to go there on class trips to Disneyland and Magic Mountain and stuff like that in high school. So, and not to mention the Disneyland trips I took with my parents. So I wasn't completely unfamiliar with the area. The first time I went out as an adult was in college, and it was visiting friends who are from there. Um, I was getting choosing signals. However, my friends would say, "How come you don't mess with such and such?" And I would say, "Because she's underage." And I would look at them crazy. But it turns out that she wasn't. Um, and she was like 24. And that was something that was very consistent throughout. Like even women in their 40s, women look significantly younger than what they were. This was before all the surgeries and stuff. I don't know what it is about that area that produce youth appearing women, but it does. So when Sir Mix-a-Lot was saying LA face, that is a thing.
Oh wow.
They do have nice faces. And no, they're not really problematic with dating. Not like how the Miami women were described as, and from what I noticed in Miami, no, they weren't really problematic. Um, yeah, in fact, I would call them downright welcoming and even aggressive in their desires and intent.
In Miami.
Keep out of a nerd. So my perspective is from a nerd, meaning that the ones who were interested probably were looking for something new, or they just had a nerd desire or something like that. But no, so there's pretty well. Oakland, or the Bay Area in general, uh, is just as multicultural there. However, the cultures don't seem to try as hard to stay separate. In fact, cultures really have no problems intermingling um, in the Bay Area, unlike Los Angeles. And everybody hears the story about how Latinos and blacks don't really get along down there.
Yeah.
So I think that that's probably like a theme that's going on there with not only blacks and Latinos, but with all races. Like it seems like every group more or less are keeping to themselves unless it's absolutely, necessarily not to. And that might affect dating options. But as far as intelligence goes, I see that in both places, both areas. Let's see. You're more likely, in my opinion, to find a Shea Charday there than or here than there. So I'll say that.
Compared to where? Compared to the
Compared
Bay
to Los
Area?
Angeles.
Oh, to Los Angeles? Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I will say that you're more likely to find that. Yeah, you're more likely to find that here than there. And she's from here. But that's besides the point. Like, the educated, or intelligent really, doesn't necessarily have to be educated, but like a little bit more down to earth. Yeah. That whole Dizzy reputation, the Dizzy beautiful chick reputation that associates with Southern California, I don't see that, or I haven't seen that in my visits. They all had a mind on them. They're not on some Kelly Bundy stuff just because they probably are or they're definitely hotter than the national average.
Right. Okay.
So,
and
where's better than Mississippi?
I knew you were going to bring that up. I was going to say the accent. I was like, I want them compared to the Mississippi woman. But so what medium?
No, it's funny because my friend will tell you this. My friend will tell you this because it's I don't know if it's his wife or his sisters, but when he come out of his room, I ask him. But it's either his sisters or his wife got too fat for Cali and moved to the South. So, yeah, that happens. All right, let's see.
Yeah, I had a delay on
apparently there's like pockets in the South that no worries. But apparently there's just pockets in the South that that we ship our fat women to.
Dear God.
Hold on, let's see.
I was talking to somebody today, and they were like, because I was telling them, I was like, I was making like $50K at like 25, and I still had to live with my parents, right, at the time. And they were like, "Oh, you should have left. You should have moved." I'm like, "Move where?" They're like, "Arkansas," and I'm like, "Arkansas." That's how I feel about Mississippi. How you feel about Mississippi? That's how I feel about Arkansas. And I'm like, what the hell would I move to Arkansas?
Yeah, well, that's the second worst place. Like, yeah, I've been to Arkansas. I haven't been to Mississippi.
You've been to Arkansas, you said?
Yeah, I've been to Arkansas when I was a kid. Arkansas, one of the first things that struck me was that it's so dirt nasty that when I brought water from Oakland to Arkansas, if you open it and let it sit for a while, the water will taste like their water. Even if it's in a bottle that was shipped from somewhere else. There's something in the air that makes the water taste like crap, which was very disgusting to me. I mean, the dirt roads and stuff like that was just something minor. But yeah, it was the fact that the water tasted a little bad, and because I was a kid, like the only real entertainment was a general store that they had near the people that we were staying with, and it had like a bunch of VHS movies, and I think I rented like Highlander 2, which was good, but it wasn't like a terrible trip. It wasn't a terrible trip there. Just the water was trash.
But you visited during the summer though, right?
I think so, yeah. Well, I had to because off school, and I was there for a bit. Yeah.
I mean, that's worse to have like you're more thirstier than this. And you got Mississippi mud and Arkansas water. Arkansas water.
Yeah. Well, I got a feeling that Mississippi is like worse. Like, Arkansas, it wasn't like the best place I've ever been, by far, but I get a feeling like, I would rather go there again than Mississippi, All right. I even heard Memphis dudes complain about Arkansas. So I've never been to Memphis. Isn't that where Danika's from?
I think no, she's from St. Louis. was very close.
Oh, that's right.
Few kind of niches that you can go. But for me, the most lucrative that I would say that will keep you around men, but that does a non-black man will do very well. We've also seen this with the Mighty McClures, the McClure twins, and things like that. But the more ghetto version of this.
Okay. Was it you or your wife that had a bunch of fat chicks that was moving to the South because they think the niggas here are shallow?
No, I never heard that.
So is that your wife that got like a bunch of fat sisters and stuff? Is somebody in your family?
No, I got some cousins.
So it was your cousins?
Yeah, but they not fat. No, they like that. No, hell no. They all know what they said was they all went to the South and they got married. That was better than California. They all got married. Yes. And I can show you pictures of my cousin.
Okay, but if you know I'm gonna say something, take that. Okay. All right, moving on.
Of King's YouTube channel. This channel features two unique personalities. One black man and being a single mom. She ended up with this guy by the name of Brett. And Brett was a white guy who solved all of her problems. According to her, Brett bought her a car, bought her a dude.
He's right, you know.
And after marrying a white man, Rose Miller would go on to tell everybody this about dating.
How many black men have you dated?
Maybe 2 or 3 besides him.
And so you're done with black men?
Naturally, like if I was not to be with my husband, I would not desire to waste my time trying to find the right black man. Now, if I just somehow just fell in love, you know, then I would be open to that. I'm not closing. I'm not telling people to open their horizons while I'm closing mine, but they wouldn't be like my first option.
But then problems started happening in their relationship. She would expose.
Okay,
Brett.
so
Okay, that's her right there.
Okay,
That's her right there. She's not fat at all. That's her daughter.
what do you mean? Okay, so she's standing there with her daughter, right?
Yeah.
The daughter is an example of not fat.
Okay, no. What's the difference between? It's the difference between fat and thick, bro. Period.
I know it's a difference.
Because you think about you.
Oh,
you
boy.
Skinny bitches are thick. So,
I don't think that. Listen,
you think skinny bitches are thick?
No, I already told you, Chloe Bailey is thick.
No,
Whatever you show me, listen.
You thought that when the person used to go to when the program with us was thick, and she was skinny as fuck. So don't even go there, bro. You know.
Listen, if you're skinny, I don't know what you're talking about. But if she's skinny and she got big titties, then that's thick.
Okay, now
if she's fat with big titties, it's still fat.
There she fat. That's not the same person. So she's not fat.
She's hiding behind a bigger woman.
She's thick, and she's my people.
Holy crap!
No, holy crap, my ass.
See, that's why they go to the South, so niggas would call them thick. Okay, so
yeah, he's so too. I can show you something.
Damn it! All right, y'all hear this? Y'all hear this? I told you, big women go to the South to find men that'll call them thick.
Right.
All right.
That shit not true, man. Y'all fucking out of it.
No, that's true. That is true.
Now,
I
say she big.
Now I would say this. You know why? Because I hear black women complain, oh, they couldn't find a man in California, but then they head back to Atlanta or somewhere in the South. That is true. Or they go back to
Utah. I know it was somebody in this family.
But that can't happen. But at the same time, we come motherfuckers from East Oakland. Mm-hmm. We was known to not to love a woman. You feel me? We
not
was like
fuck
a bitch.
Woman.
No, any bitch. We was like fuck a bitch. That's what I was taught. You guys see the fast.
Well, okay, that's what I was taught too. But we understood that some women are more valuable than others.
Yeah, that's true. But what they got to do with that? Like, hey, y'all fucked her. Yeah, she fat.
Wait, who? What?
I fucked her too.
On purpose?
On purpose.
God damn it.
Intentionally.
Hey, everybody in the chat, this is what they call this town business, I guess, right?
Nah, that's some fucking fat bitch business. I don't know what that is.
You want to know that?
He said on purpose. Like he fell into the pussy by accident.
Nah, I didn't fall in the pussy. There was no problem about it.
It was not intentional.
It was intentional.
It was like a pothole that you missed.
There was no pothole either.
Like you try to miss that you accidentally hit the pothole. Like you missed the pothole, you made a mistake. You didn't mean to hit that pothole.
So you never fucked a fat woman?
Once, and that was it. But
did you enjoy it?
She enjoyed it more than I did because she came like multiple times. Like,
okay.
But one or two. But I honestly, that's not my ideal type. We would just.
And I respect that.
I was young. I wasn't even 25. Like I was maybe like 21, 20. You know, like I was having a little rotation, and I used to be able to. GC probably can't stand
rotation or rotisserie.
I used to just spend the night like the weekend over at her house, and it was real chill. But she wasn't like crazy obese, but she wasn't my ideal type. Like my ideal type is what's her name? Zoe Kravitz. Like I like more slimmer women.
Oh, okay.
All right.
I'm about to go.
All right. Let me
Zoe Kravitz.
Bro, he couldn't pay for anything. He actually ended up going to jail because she called the cops on him.
So
used her up.
If you come here with food again, if you steal again, I'm going to leave you. Do you remember that? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Yeah, I have a sugar daddy that pays me $25,000. Let's just
the fact that she's angling not to show it. No, you just show me what pictures she didn't show it.
Let's do it.
Yeah, he even calls her a hooker.
That's right.
It even got so bad that
he's still not showing
her to stop. Like literally, he didn't want to. He made a lot of money. Don't get me wrong. They have 1.23 million views on YouTube. So that's a lot of subscribers. They're also on TikTok. They also sell things. So they're doing pretty good. And I remember when they moved to Arizona, to Hawaii, they were still making a lot of income. But again, people started criticizing them for having this sort of failed relationship.
My husband is very uncomfortable with the idea to begin with.
You still
He's
think
a
that
lot
way?
more reserved than I am. I am a lot more out there.
No, she's bigger in this picture. I told you they do all kind of camera tricks and stuff. I told you.
He's no longer comfortable with it, and he's done it for so long to make me happy, and I appreciate him for that.
No,
but he's no longer comfortable
that's worse.
with certain things like, you know,
how come every picture you show me get worse? Yes,
she's still fine as fuck.
Just
now let's get back to this whole thing of Brett saying that he's really tired of being, seeming like the kind of guy that really.
God damn it!
I also want to say this too. I gotta rephrase. The fat chick, she wasn't built like Lizzo fat. She was more like maybe a little bit more heavier than like a Meg Thee Stallion fat. Like there's levels to this. I'm not dating. Like she did not look like.
Name first.
I don't want to see her again.
Fine as fuck. And
I'm always gonna remember the worst picture.
But you can't always remember the worst picture about someone.
The fuck I can't.
You can, but you want to. But why would you want to?
I can't help it. Like it's so bad.
That's subconscious about yourself.
Okay, fuck whatever. Subconsciously, I always gonna see her as fat.
You got that one. I ain't mad about it.
No, she wasn't just fat. You brought her over.
Yeah.
When you described her, I thought she was regular fat. This was huge. This was huge.
Gargantuan.
What the hell?
It was gargantuan.
Yeah, god damn it.
And her pussy good too.
God damn it.
And she's swallowed.
And you gotta keep the door to your room closed. I don't want no fucking fat bitch fumes just airing out my house and shit.
And she's swallowed.
I don't want to think about that shit.
Did she keep the AC on when you were at her house? Did she keep the AC on?
He always keep the AC on. So.
Because as you know how you do, you have to deal with fat chicks because they sweat a lot, so they have to always keep the AC on at the house.
Yeah, they do, and they breathe hard.
Yeah. Oh, it's crazy. I went to the store just to get some cereal before while you were streaming, And like I was at the register, like loading up my card, right? Like getting my card ready, like my Apple Wallet, and I could literally hear the woman breathing. Like it was so loud. And it was like while I was listening to your stream, and I could hear like at the register, like her breathing, like light, like it was crazy. I'm like, that's not a good thing. That like if you can hear somebody breathing, that's not good.
No, they be on some Darth Vader shit. You hear them coming and stuff. Yeah.
Right.
Wants to do this. I do feel like he loves her and he loves the kids, and he also has his own children with her, and he's always disrespected. And to be honest, he's almost fetishized, like a big white guy with a small black woman. I mean, it's like very sexual. He doesn't talk down on black men. I mean, she's the only one that does it, but he tries his best to like be respectful of her, although it seems like he's having a tough time. And again, this is important to know because she was saying that Brett doesn't want to really be on YouTube. He doesn't really want to be out here like that. He wants to live a private life. But then we found out something else. Brett enrolls his own OnlyFans.
Me, that y'all.
Oh, that's that chick from TikTok. Okay.
Left black men alone because you didn't want to go 50-50 just to get with Chad and have to be the one to put the down payment on the house by yourself and then buy your own car and pretend like he gave it to you as a push present. The girls who have become influencers come into a lot of money. And, you know, trying to find a man who make just as much money as she make a lot of times is challenging. So when they...
No, okay. This is where she got it wrong. Because she's making money because of him. Let's not get it twisted. You know, if she was on OnlyFans, she'd be one of the millions of other OnlyFans chick that's making $200 a month. Her hook is this whole, you know, Brett situation. It's this whole interracial, you know, little versus big type dynamic, which is why she picked him. I believe that she picked this dude out of her, you know, list of OnlyFans subscribers. And they have an arrangement. And that arrangement has made them a lot of money. I don't think that is, you know, really working so much now because she broke the fantasy when they had those like online arguments and discussions. That kind of broke the fantasy, and it went against the sisterhood. It went against the agenda of pushing this narrative once again to create a scarcity mindset in black men and create an abundance mindset in black women. You know, went completely against that narrative. When it just showed like she basically outed him for not being a breadwinner and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, the mask slipped, they lost traction, and now they're on OnlyFans. Back on OnlyFans. It's just that this time she brought him with her.
Do get into these relationships, a lot of times they are the bread and they fund a lot of the stuff dealing with the life.
He said something, so give him a shout out. He did a really good video on the subject. Go and do some more of my research if it was true. Now, of course, I did go and click. He did go and pay for the stuff, but I did go on Facebook where they're really out here promoting this a lot, and I was seeing like her OnlyFans thing. She's basically bragging about it. And here we have the year with 58,000, one platform without management. You guys literally watch the journey in real time from $7,000 to $45,000 in 1 month. That didn't happen by luck. It was strategy, consistency, and knowing how to convert. I've been seeing all of your messages, but there's too many to reply individually. So I'm doing something special. How I scaled my OnlyFans step by step, the exact strategy that took me from 7K to 45K, how to increase conversions and maximize your income, plus special shout outs on my
Okay, I think that they're exaggerating about the money, but even if they're not, once again, this whole, because of the swirling community and stuff, it is lucrative. It is lucrative to sell this lifestyle to Black women.
Personal OnlyFans. If you're serious about leveling up, this is for you. To join, subscribe to my Patreon to get access plus details. Let's elevate your income and your mindset. I'll see you there. Now, again, this is, in my honest opinion, like a scam. And I'll really tell you why. The hardest part about going on to OnlyFans is because people just don't know you. So if you're Rose Miller and you have millions of followers, when you go onto OnlyFans, you're going to be okay. It's just like me joining up to another platform. Let's say I decide to go to TikTok. If I go to TikTok, I've been in the game for a decade. A lot of people are going to go to TikTok and subscribe because O'Shea Duke Jackson is on TikTok. All right. So me being on TikTok is going to not be that difficult. I mean, I might not get 1 million followers like in the first 2 or 3 years, but I'm going to have a bigger audience because people know me as O'Shea Duke Jackson on YouTube. Even if I go to Facebook, it's not going to be difficult for me. So how can I teach you about how to do stuff on TikTok when, to be honest, I've been growing my personal brand for a long time? This is the same thing with Tariq Nasheed. When Tariq Nasheed went to TikTok.
And this is what I'm talking about when I say fluff. So yeah, enough of that. So as we can see, this is what's going on. They're doing this now. Like I say, a lot of these swirl, divest, IR relationships and stuff, it's just really optics. It's all just optics. It's all optics to appeal to a demographic and make money off said demographic.
My thing to you, GC, is how is that not struggle love? That sounds like struggle love to me.
Well, because when they got together, they no longer struggled. So, and I don't even think they love each other. This goes into the white beard category I was talking about before. He's her white beard. You know how like a homosexual will have a beard to present to the world? Yeah. This is her beard to present to the world, and she did it. And of course, she took shots at Black men after while doing it. But yeah, this is like, listen, because her whole story when they got on was, this is a high value, tall guy, and blah 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 blah.
Right.
That was the whole story that
that guy with the single mother that was Black, that was dark skinned. Yeah.
That was abandoned on the streets by her Black baby daddy. And, so she went into that whole little spiel. And then come to find out he was a broke dude that just married a single mother because he was an incel prior to that. So it's a good deal for him. And this is what I say. Whenever something is done out of spite, it's typically going to be a good deal. So story, I used to be a telemarketer, and I remember I got written up for, so I used to say I wasn't proud of what I did, and that's because unlike most people that work there, I realized what was being sold. But I used to have to sell something to elderly people. It wasn't anything illegal or like damaging, but it was something that if they really thought about it, they don't really need. But nevertheless, I did that. And it took me, I was on a call with this elderly couple, and it took me a very long time to where I had a choice to, either hang up the phone and say, oh, no, never mind, or stay with the for sure sale on the phone. So I got written up for that. And I was telling the human resources person, like, this is I was always taught that a turkey in a pot is better than two in the bush. You wanted me to hang up and hope that, I would get a sale from somebody else, like, from the next 3 or 4 people that I would have talked to while waiting for these elderly people to get their information together. So, I really made her look bad. My supervisor's judgment look bad in front of human resources when I did that. And I was like, listen, I don't think I'm going to thrive under this woman. So why don't you put me into a different team, right? And human resources did that. Now, what happened after that was funny because this is how spite works. On my new team, I went from being like in the bottom 20% to like the top 3%. And I always had it in me to be good at the job, but really before I was doing just enough to not get fired because I didn't like the job, but you got paid hourly plus commission. I never got any commission before. I just went there for the hourly pay. But when spite was on the table, I took it to an extreme because I wanted to send a message to everybody that was looking that I am not a bad employee. She is a bad supervisor. Now, the truth of the matter is that I am a bad employee. But spite is a powerful motivator. What's my point? Black women who do this, they understand that they're bad women. But they understand that if they go over and be good women, that the optics will be to their favor and it will make us look worse. Now, who benefited from that scenario, the story that I just told y'all? My new supervisor. So yes, there's always a benefactor when somebody is spiting somebody else.
I agree. I always say I say to people, it's like when people say, when women say, "Oh, I'll be submissive and feminine under the right man." It's like I always say it's like you saying, "Oh, I work this job at McDonald's and I always come late and I'm always overburning the fries and I deliberately talk back to my manager, but and then I say, "Oh, I would do better at this job. I would do better at a job if I worked at Goldman Sachs." It's like, no, that's not how it works. Your work ethic translates everywhere, whether you're working at McDonald's or you're working corner office at Goldman Sachs, right? Yeah, it doesn't switch up because you can't. That's more of we're creatures of habit. What you display in one area is gonna come out in the next. If you can't get up to go to work at McDonald's, what makes you think you're gonna go get up to work on time for a finance job that actually requires more of you? So
good point.
Yeah.
So I want to speak to this because I think there's a little bit of confusion. A 6'5" white incel proves that height isn't as important as women make guys think. No, it's not. It's only important when they're shooting down a guy. Once again, and this is something that particularly Black American women do. They pick the thing that you don't have and make that the most important thing in the world to them. And that's to, diminish your sense of self-worth, once again, to control you. So if you just so happen to be rich, handsome, and, athletically built with the big one, but you just so happen to be, 5'8" or something like that, they'd be like, "Oh yeah, you short." That's what they do. They find anything that makes you ill perfect, and then they say they make that out to be the most important thing. And even if you have everything going, like what's that dude name that played the Russian on Rocky IV?
I was about to say Khal Drago, Ivan Drago.
Ivan Drago. Yeah, but that's his. What's his real name?
Lundgren, Dolph Lundgren, I think.
Okay, I'm gonna call him Ivan Drago. So like Ivan Drago just so happened to be,
yeah, Dolph Lundgren. Yeah, Dolph
yeah.
Lundgren. Yeah.
Okay, I can't say that, so I'm just say Ivan Drago.
Yeah,
But you know, he just so happened to be handsome fit, 6'3", and a genius on top of everything else.
Right.
Now, if black women were to treat him the way that they treat black men, which they don't, but because Grace Jones didn't, but if they did, they would say he's corny or lame because these are subjective things that's really immeasurable, unlike his IQ, height, and physique. So that's their strategy. Trust me.
Yeah, I've had women. I don't. It bothers me. I don't take it too personal, but I'm 6 foot even, right?
Mhm.
And I remember I matched with the girl on Tinder on Hinge, and she asked me, "Oh, how tall are you?" And I'm 6 feet. It was weird. I hate when he kind of asks me that, and like it's kind of irritating. And she was like, "That's it." Mind you, she wasn't even the most like the slimmest chick either. So it's like kind of like I want to say taking what I can get, but I was like, okay, I'm gonna just see where this goes. But it bothered me to the point where it's like, what do you mean that's it? Like as though, like I said about the manipulation tactic, it's trying to downplay it. It's like if you say to a guy, "Oh, like what do you do?" and he says, I'm a pediatrician." Like, "Oh, that's it," as though like, "Oh, why are you not a brain surgeon?" Right? Or
Yeah.
"Oh, why are you not 6'4" instead of 6 feet even?" As though that's still a good measurement, but it's a control tactic to always make the goalpost move further, that you got to prove yourself.
Exactly. Like I mean, which is why they hate shows like mine because it exposes their tactics to the masses. You know, because then so Michael B. Jordan don't walk around with his head down saying I'm corny. You know, like they're getting a different reaction and they don't like that.
Do you remember? You pointed us up very well, and it's funny because I'm thinking about. I started like my own YouTube channel a little bit. But I'm trying to think about if I want to do content as well, because certain things about what you said about Michael B. Jordan is true, and I've noticed. Like, do you remember when they said it was Michael B. It was around the time about the whole thing about he's not corny anymore, or you were corny in high school, and there was a girl was like, yeah, Michael B. Jordan is fine and all, but he looks too responsible. And then it was a tweet, and then after she said he looks too responsible, she's like, it's like he knows where he probably knows where his birth certificate is. And I literally, if I could find it, I remember Lucario made a video about it, like, oh, you have to realize just because you might, because they kind of low-key hate on Michael B. Jordan. It's quite as it kept. If you watch some of their short videos, if you know. But he was trying to say like, oh, just it goes to prove that, see, you need to have game. You can't just be handsome and have status. You need to have. They're trying to like fit that in a square into a peg hole to say, oh, because if a woman thinks you're too responsible, then she's not gonna like you. That's why you have to have game, right? It's trying to basically grift.
Right.
But it dawned on me, it's like now it's like if I say a woman looks too ladylike or she looks too demure. It's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I mean, it's a mating tactics that's predicated on diminishing. They have to break the ego first. Like that's what happens. That's why they can't stand that one lawyer dude that's like, I am the prize, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Because they're like, no, we got to break his ego.
Right.
It's because they have a low opinion of themselves. So, they feel that the only person that would get with them is one with a low opinion of himself. He's either actually low, which means his opinion is justified, or he believes himself to be low. And don't get me wrong, like, I'm not above that. I am not above that. Or I would say I'm not above taking advantage of it when it exists, when it already exists. So like if there was a woman who for whatever reason didn't notice she was drop dead gorgeous,
Ignorance is bliss.
To that.
Ignorance is bliss.
Yeah, exactly. Now, would I make this global effort to assure that she never finds out? Fuck no. Fuck no. So in order to do that, and this is how they think. In order to do that, say I were to bring her on this show, and brothers would be in a chat room thirsting, just like that's because that's what brothers do. I would have to say, hey, fellas, I'm about to bring this chick on. She bad as fuck, but don't say nothing. Don't say nothing. I want her to continue to think that she's ugly as shit. And then when I get off the show, I'm gonna say, man, your ugly ass didn't bring anybody on my show. You know, just to that's the equivalent. I would never take it that far. Y'all see what I'm saying? That's in chat room. Let's see.
No, for sure. No, I was thinking about that too. Like, no, it's that's for sure. I was thinking about one time. I don't know if you know El Guapo. He has his channel. He said he asked the girl, the Brazilian older lady, the Brazilian older lady that do interviews, and he asked her like, "What do you rank yourself?" And she was like a 5. She said she ranks herself a 5.
Mm-hmm.
And in America, like, I mean, this is mind you, she's an older woman, so like, but she's still like be considered arguably a 7 or an 8.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, she's more in shape than women in their 20s, but it's like she rated herself a 5, right? So basically saying she's average. But it's like, you know, yeah, I hate to say it, it's kind of one of the dark facts about life, but if a woman doesn't think too highly of herself, like, you're probably dealing with a woman that's pleasure to be around. Women don't know how to actualize their beauty and still not be a bitch, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, they struggle to balance that. So
yeah, some do. I mean, it's great when they don't, but you know, yeah, it's sometimes ignorance is bliss. It just so happens to be it's when you're not the one that's ignorant.
Right.
So yeah. Anyway, you got any final thoughts?
No, thank you for having me on. This was a good show. I'm a actually watch from the beginning, from the playback, and I'm gonna watch Media Man stuff to see what he was talking about.
Okay.
It's just I hate when we bully men into saying, oh, you need to like this, or why don't you like that? It's like, no, like we don't
so he does it a lot?
Well, no, I presume that's what was the title of the video. That was what was about, like, why doesn't a woman's education matter? You know, it's like, why doesn't a man being a nice guy matter? It's like, no, it's like it's a disingenuous argument. It's,
well, I mean, he was pushing a narrative that it should matter. Like, okay, I mean, you know, it's,
but to what extent? Like when people say, oh, and I hate when they say this too, not to go on a tangent, but like, oh, so you want a dumb woman? It's like, no, I'm like that. Your mom and your like my grandmother didn't have any significant education like that, right? My mom did, but my grandmother and her grandmother, they didn't have a bunch of education. But it's like, okay, if this education was so great, how come our marriage numbers aren't high enough, right? You have people coming, there's more black people coming out of Reconstruction married than there are now, with the most educated group of people in this country, black people in America of all time. Mm-hmm. It's like, why the marriage numbers don't reflect that? So you had slaves coming out of you had people coming out of chattel slavery that were more married compared to people that have higher education. That should tell you something, right? But I'll land my plane with that. But thank you for having me on.
All right, thanks for coming. All right, so with that being said, I want to thank the Cash App Super Chats, managers, moderators, those who are listening silently, and those who participate in the chat. Hit the like button on your way out. Game over. Peace.